since he wore purple all the time, could we legally call him the Grapist?
That's why everyone going with the Mephisto theories. I was like,
I don't mean to like push back on my first appearance on the podcast. God, I'm gonna get fired from this group so hard.
Why are you running? I just flew all the way out here. I've been looking for you for years, and you're just gonna run from me?
Constantly, that's just the entirety of his miniseries looking for his shit.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another fine episode of the Happy 616th Marvel Family Podcast. Today, we have almost a full house. We have about 5 people today talking to us about our subject. I am your host, the Funny Hatter, as always. To my left, we have Victor, the X-Men. To my right, we have Christopher, the Z-Man, hiding up in the shadows because he thinks he's Moon Knight, is Lizard King, or as you may know him as Kane. And then we have a very special guest who may or may not come back, but she's definitely going to be sticking with us for quite some time. Our new editor, Charlotte Louise. Am I saying that right?
Hey. Yeah. Actually, it's Louise. Do it again. No, I'm kidding.
Our new editor, Charlotte Louise.
Louis.
Finally, definitely not French. Definitely not French. So today we're all here together to talk about since Black Panther Wakanda Forever has come out last week, we are officially, if you're following into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, we are transitioning from Phase 4 into Phase 5, to where there will finally be a new Avengers film coming into the near future. There will be a set of movies, TV shows, and specials that are to come along this way. But here we're just talking about the transition of 4 to 5, talking about our reactions to Phase 4, our hopes and dreams and theories for Phase 5 and whatnot. You want to just geek out a little bit, just have fun with it. So I'm going to go to our Wheel of Fortune to see who gets to talk first, and it's going to be my favorite person of the day.
The infamous Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah, the infamous Wheel of Fortune with one of our members has a problem with because he doesn't like being subjugated to anything. Hey, look at that! Our first person to talk is Charlotte.
Hey.
What a coincidence.
Oh
My favorite person of the
my gosh, I just won the lottery. This is amazing. Okay. Okay, hi.
And you won $10,000 minus taxes, which makes it just about $100.
Minus taxes, meaning you get none of the money.
Yeah, most of it to the government. Okay, I have a confession, and I guess Funny Hatter already knows this, but I am actually not. I'm not really a Marvel person, and I know like that sounds really stupid considering I chose to be on this podcast, and I mean absolutely no disrespect at all. I mean, I when I was editing your last podcast, I'm like, oh my gosh, this sounds like so much fun, and it was, yeah, you guys just sounded like you were having a lot of fun, but I don't actually have a lot of Marvel knowledge at all. There's like not a whole lot I could even say. I know it's like treasonous. It's treasonous.
And the podcast right here. We're cutting the podcast.
I know. I know. I'm just here to.
It looks like we got ourselves a normie, boys.
I know.
We got a normie.
I know. So I honestly,
You haven't seen much of the projects of Phase 4, have you?
you're gonna have to define Phase 4.
Oh no.
Okay,
no.
it's not a problem. So,
boy.
okay. So if you've been following the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is like
I
the
have
Avengers
not.
Okay, so we're going to go to 5 minutes and then you're going to get I'm kidding, you're going to get 10.
No.
So-
I honestly, like, no, you're good. I know I spent a lot of time, and and of course, I want to, like, discuss and everything, but if you want to go to the next person, by all means.
I kind of want to hear what you say first, only
Okay.
because
You want to
you're
make
not
fun
as
of me?
yes, that's
He's
exactly
taking
what I
the
want
prime
to do.
opportunity. Like, this is just a gold mine that he's just waiting to hear.
Okay,
Yes.
you can't laugh though. I'm kidding.
Oh, I know.
You're gonna laugh. You're gonna laugh
Yeah.
no matter what. But
The reason why is because we really haven't had anybody who hasn't been paying attention, who hasn't not been paying attention hasn't. We haven't had anyone who hasn't been watching the Marvel movies. So I want to get
Sure.
it. I wanted to get your
Because we're all
perspective on
geeks
that.
and we're all nerds. It's just what we
Yeah.
do. We
no,
consume
I
this.
feel you.
vibes.
No, I.
You know, like the
Not
stereotype.
even.
You know the stereotypical blonde girl that goes to Starbucks every single morning because she just can't get enough of that cup of coffee. That's us with these movies.
Yes,
That's
we are all
awesome.
blonde girls.
No, yeah, I knew what I was coming into. I wanted to just have fun, and yeah, I totally. If you want me to talk, I'll do it.
Yeah. So I'll give a quick rundown of what Phase 4 has been in the cinematic Marvel Cinematic Universe. So if you, the audience, has been paying attention to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, watching like the Avengers films such as Infinity War and Endgame, this is a section of stories that take place after Endgame. So the Avengers have won against Thanos. Half of humanity has been returned, along with half of all life itself in the galaxy and whatnot. And now we're seeing stories that are coming after this event. So,
AKA the trauma phase.
The trauma phase,
Yeah,
or
it's pretty much
what
just
was
the phase of grief and trauma.
yeah, or
for people
what was supposed to
in the
be
universe.
trauma. We'll get into that in a bit. But these movies and TV shows and projects consist of Black Widow. Let's see what came after that. Was that Shang-Chi that came out next after that?
Yeah,
Okay.
Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi was
Okay.
next.
So Black Widow, Shang-Chi in the Ten Rings, Eternals, what else? Spider-Man, No Way Home, Doctor Strange.
Yeah, sort of unofficially included.
We can talk about it. Doctor Strange Into the Multiverse of Madness, Thor: Love and Thunder, and Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. And these are just the movies. The TV shows that came out were Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Actually, no, before that was WandaVision first, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki,
Season
Moon Knight.
1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
They're all-
eventually,
they're all
we'll talk about it
season
later. Okay, Moon Knight, Miss Marvel, and then finally She-Hulk. And then we had a special, being a Halloween special, being Werewolf by Night, which came out around the same time as She-Hulk.
Isn't there
so
also
that-
supposed to be a Christmas special this year that's
Yeah.
dedicated to Guardians of the
Guardians
Yes,
of the
yes,
Galaxy
I forgot to
holiday
mention that.
special.
So that's going to be a
Oh,
Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special.
Yes.
Yeah, that
cool.
premise looks funny because it's basically just Drax and Mantis kidnapping
Mantis?
Kevin Bacon. Yeah.
Oh no.
Well, okay, I see what we're dealing with. But the point is that the Guardians, like part of the Guardians, kidnap Kevin Bacon because Kevin Bacon's playing himself. They kidnap Kevin Bacon just to make
course.
Star-Lord happy for Christmas.
Oh, this is gonna be fun.
Yeah, because that's part of his nostalgia.
Like Kevin Bacon?
Yeah.
Maybe he's on that team. I don't know. I haven't been there in a long time.
That's awesome. Yeah, like there are bits and pieces like that I know about, heard about, characters I know, movies I have seen. It's just not very much. But yeah, thank you for clarifying the Phase 4. That makes sense. Yeah, it's like kind of edging towards the end of the big main original cast of all the Marvel movies.
Yeah, it's sort of the beginning of the next one, as well as as sort of the endpoints for some of the older bunch of this new era.
So are
Okay.
there any of those movies or TV shows that you've seen?
I've seen like a teeny bit of She-Hulk and I really regretted it.
Trust, you're not the only one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
let's see.
I feel like I'm the only one here who actually likes She-Hulk.
Get out!
Oh yeah, and that is totally fine if you do. That was just my impression.
You traitor!
I know. Okay, can you repeat some of those first ones? Like there's Black Widow,
Yeah.
10 Rings.
Shang-Chi.
Yeah,
and
Shang-Chi.
10 Rings. Eternals. Spider-Man No Way Home. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
I've
Thor
seen-
Love and Thunder.
I've seen a little bit
And,
of. Oh yeah.
and Black Panther Wakanda Forever.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I've seen a little bit of No Way Home. I didn't watch all of it because I was just watching it with my siblings for a little bit and then I stopped. Yeah, I have not seen very much of Phase 4. My siblings are more into it, but I haven't been.
Okay.
I'm more of a Astro Boy cinematic universe kind. No, I'm kidding.
I'm strictly
Yeah.
Astro
Del-
Boy.
Del-
Superior.
Yeah.
Obviously
What'd you
the
say?
superior cinematic universe.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, if
doubt.
it makes you feel any better, Charlotte, even though I am a fan of DC and Marvel, the one universe I stick to more than any is Godzilla, and well, for obvious reasons.
That's cool. Oh, I see. Yeah, your name and that's cool. Nice. Yeah, I know a lot about I don't know a lot about the MCU, but I know a lot about the MCU, like, Minions cinematic universe. Like that is my
Oh yes, that's the one right there. We don't care about the Marvel one though. The Minions, that's where it's at, really. That's where the war
the
is.
real
These little yellow little workers that for some reason they just make money regardless of what movie they are in. Like I don't
Right.
understand
The
how the
symbol
Minions
of
became a
capitalism.
I don't understand
what's
how the Minions became a cult following. I don't understand how they did because it was just one animated
Join
movie
them.
and they became their own entity.
Yeah,
Here's
sounds
the
like
thing,
someone didn't watch their origin story. No, I'm kidding. Minion
Here's the
movie
thing.
explains everything. No.
Here's the thing. I think Universal just happened to stumble upon like the perfect mascot, because if you think about it, like when it comes to the
True.
movies, like the Minions, they really just help out unless like they have their own movies. But most of the time, they from what I've seen, I haven't seen all of the movies because I had to like tune out. I just can't. I just can't handle it.
Wow,
They're
you're
basically
the
just-
traitor. No, I'm kidding.
They're basically just like they're basically like comedy fill-in, which is what they really
Yeah,
are. But it makes
Yeah.
sense.
They're not
Exactly.
They're not characters. They're more of just like mascots, because like they're funny, they're silly, they don't speak English, and they come off as really goofy, and it makes all the kids like laugh like their ass off to where they can just watch it on screen. And like if you could sell it, and then like
Yeah,
people just make more to where like people like can just turn their brains off. It's like, all right, just bring the kids over to the thing that's gonna make them laugh and like make them pass out in like 2 hours.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hey parents, we need $1 billion. Bring your kids to this movie. We got the Minions back. Say less.
Right. Oh my
Drop
gosh,
your kids
that's-
off for like about 2 hours.
Okay, you guys have been wondering like how the Minions make money. They make movies of themselves. They make billions of dollars.
They do.
Yeah.
They are the directors, actually. And then
That's
they're like,
true.
hey, Gru, you can build your spaceship. Here you go.
Confirm.
Here you
how
go. You can do it all by yourself.
Yeah. It's just like a Lego set. Come on, it's not that. It's just rocket science. It's not that bad.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and like for Christmas every year, and for our birthdays, me and my siblings will prank each other by getting each other Minion things, and then
Yes.
we just watch. Yeah,
That's
Love it.
awesome.
my
Pranked.
I know. Like my little brother, he turned like 1 year he was turning 15, and so I went to the grocery store and I found a Minion birthday card that said 5. It was like for 5-year-olds, and I just wrote a 1 in front of it, and it was just a Minion birthday card. And I was like,
Yes.
here you go. Yeah, watching the reactions is the best thing. Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, okay, Funny Hatter, what did you want me to talk about? Unless my time is up, which is also fine.
You have about 4 minutes left, but I just wanted to see if there were things that you have seen and what you thought about Phase 4, because this is supposed to dwell more on like the opening.
Lost Victor.
It's okay, he'll be back. See, what did I
He's
tell
back.
you?
He's back.
Magic.
The Chosen One has risen.
The Chosen.
So Phase 4 was supposed to be the introduction of the multiverse, to where Marvel would just be able to basically do whatever they want, because you have multiple universes that are next to each other, and you can just replace characters on a whim and whatnot. And you basically just have like the power of God when you come into the writing room. And if you had seen or if you experienced any of that, I just wanted to see what your take was on that from someone who doesn't view and consume as much Marvel entertainment as, like, say, the rest of us.
Oh, sure. Like, just my thoughts on, like, things that are changing from the earlier movies. Got you. Well, I guess one thing that I've always been interested in looking at in the movies that I have seen is just the themes and how the themes change. And I know that doesn't have anything or a whole lot to do with casting or special effects or anything like that, but I'm just curious about what themes they're pushing in these movies, you know, whether there's, you know, more of a degree of family togetherness in the movies, you know, if the main hero, you know, I'm just curious about when it comes to the main hero, you know, why they're supposed to be admirable. And I know some of them are anti-heroes, of course, you know, and sometimes the movies are about the villains, and that doesn't, you know, mean they're upstanding people, but they're still popular and likable. And I'm just curious about, you know, what personality features or what about the characters' personal lives makes them likable, and what gives them, you know, ethos, you know, what makes them ethical, what makes viewers trust them. I think it's really interesting to think about. And of course, you know, I haven't seen a whole lot of Marvel movies, but the ones that I have seen, you know, over time, I just think about, you know, the themes. And I want to give an example. I'm just like drawing a blank all of a sudden. Like, I guess, okay. This is when Sony was completely over, you know, Spider-Man, but the Andrew Garfield movies, I love that first one so much. And I know this is an older movie, not, you know, but whatever. I love that first Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. I love seeing the family tussles he has with his aunt and uncle. And then as the series progresses, his relationship with Gwen Stacy, and how losing Uncle Ben changed him. And I just think it's cool that as he grew into the Spider-Man role, it was like putting on a mask was, you know, very metaphorical for him too. It was like he was bullied at school. He was kind of an outcast. He was, you know, just not like the great, like he was brilliant, but, you know, just kind of an outcast at school. And then when he got to be Spider-Man, he got to let his sense of humor really shine through, and he got to be spunky, and he got to be brave and adventurous in ways that he couldn't be at school. And I love how becoming Spider-Man helped him develop his self-confidence, especially in that basketball scene where he finally gets back at that bully. Oh, it's so awesome to watch. He finally, he really makes the bully look stupid, and he finally gets his just desserts, and it's awesome. So yeah, I love, I guess that movie in particular, even though it's older and it wasn't, it wasn't a Marvel movie at the time. Well, I mean, you know what I mean.
Not an MCU movie, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. That's something that I can talk about, I guess.
I mean, technically it could be canon considering Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man was in the MCU after going home.
Yeah.
That's true.
So I mean, technically speaking, it is canon.
Yeah.
It's just another of the Spider-Verses. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Marvel Comics already confirmed they all exist in one giant multiverse. So,
Sure. Yeah.
Everything is canon.
I think that's how they're gonna spin it later on because they already have found out that like adding in like these like not spin-off but like people who've already like take on the character like come
Legacies,
into a big movie does pay off. Yeah, legacy actors and characters does pay off very well. So I think that's how they're going to spin it later on and say like all these other Marvel movies that came before like Blade or Hulk or Spider-Man are part of our multiverse because all the rights are coming back to them and they say they can just say that they are part of it.
Yeah, it's true.
Got you.
Yeah.
I just feel
I'm
like
glad...
with
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say I just feel like the Andrew Garfield movies, and I haven't seen the OG Tobey Maguire ones in such a long time, so I can't make a comparison there because, besides the Bully Maguire memes, there's not, and I love those so much.
We need to give you homework. Like, we need to give you certain movies to watch because you are missing out on some amazing superhero films.
Dude,
Well, not just
I
that, but
know.
also the memes.
True.
Yeah,
Well, the memes, the movies are literally filled with memes. Like if you thought the Star Wars prequels were filled with memes, no, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, it's literally every scene is a meme.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I know there's so many Spider-Man memes that like I've seen and like sometimes I'll understand them, but then sometimes I won't. I'm like, oh, I don't even know who that is. But I was just thinking, I feel like in like the little bits that I've seen of the newer Spider-Man movies and She-Hulk, it seems like they are trying to make the characters a little more personable, like have more parts of the movies centered around their personal lives in one way or another. And personally, I know they're, this is a different time period, different actors, different everything, different context. I understand that, but I don't always feel like those. I mean, I can't say for sure about Tom Holland's Peter Parker. I need to watch the first one again at least. But in She-Hulk, at least, I know that one's a little bit of a it stands out a little bit. That one's a little bit. An outlier, yeah, a little bit. But I just think at least in that show, the blending of personal life and role as a superhero is really awkward. And I don't care that it's supposed to be a comedy. To me, I don't even care. Like, I think they take the word comedy and that's like the first thing they think of, and they're like, okay, let's try to make a story that's funny, and they try to cram too much into this comedy box instead of coming up with the story first and then finding little funny things in the story along the way. I just feel like these Marvel movies, they seem, I don't know everything, but they seem like they're taking like the name of the genre and they're stuffing something inside that genre instead of having a story first and just being patient with it instead of the whole business Hollywood, go 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 go. And I understand the constraints of business and making money. I get that, and it's a shame that creativity is altered and affected so much in that process of knowing how to market and stuff. But yeah, it just seems like it's really like the genre comes first. Like, it has to be a romance or it has to be a comedy. Okay, what makes a comedy? And then I just feel like they're kind of thinking about it from the wrong angle instead of having, at least when it comes to, you know, creating a more original story, like with She-Hulk, you know, where this is kind of new territory for the character. And instead of, you know, focusing on events of a story first and then finding little grooves and nooks and crannies to find humor, you know, along the way. I don't know. That's just what I was thinking. I don't know if that makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that story is important. That's some of the best comedies, I feel like, focus on the story, but they have little comedic moments. But I think what really makes them memorable is, you know, the funny jokes, of course, but also just the heartfelt moments as well. Like,
Totally.
yeah.
It's got to be like a natural
Thank you.
comedy too.
Yeah.
Like, it can't be something
It just be
forced.
forced. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I totally feel that. Like, yeah, there's so much to be found. Like, that's why parodies are so fun, because you can, I'm not saying like only parody type comedy is funny, not at all, but it is fun. Like, you already have your story set up and then you just find the little nooks and crannies and grooves where you can tweak it like just bit by bit and make it silly and unexpected.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm actually really glad that you brought that up, because I'm going to be talking more about like the corporate side on my turn when it comes up. But I'm very glad that you brought that up, because I have a feeling that there's going to be a lot of praise for the MCU, but I feel it's also important to address when it comes to corporate decisions. There are objective ways to do it, and there are subjective ways. And when you do it incorrectly, then it's going to start showing, and then the audience is definitely going to start reflecting on it.
Ooh, yeah,
Yep.
that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. Totally.
So we are past your time, but thank you very much for talking with us from a normie perspective of viewing the
Good stuff.
MCU.
Good stuff.
Thank you for hearing me out from my normie perspective.
Always good to have a normie somewhere. You gotta remind yourself.
You got to
of
have
your
that one
reality.
normie in the group.
Leveling
Keep
the
it all
playing
balanced.
field.
Yeah.
Yes, perfectly balanced as all things should be. Right?
Hey, you got that.
Hey,
Oh, there you go.
Did I do
Yes.
it right? Did I do it right? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
You're learning. You got it. You're
So
learning.
proud of
Gold star.
myself.
Here
know
you
what?
go, champ.
It is
Have
the
some
thing.
Jello. You're a real fan now.
Oh my gosh, everyone knows the Thanos memes. It doesn't count.
But sir,
Alrighty.
our troops. And then just cut off the text of the meme. Just do it.
Alrighty, so we're gonna go back to the wheel of what did I call it last time? It doesn't matter. Wheel of misfortune, because the person who gets to talk
That
next
was
will
what
be
you
my
called it, so.
yeah the next person who gets to talk will be my least favorite person of the day. And as the wheel is spinning, we're gonna find out. And for the third person, they're just gonna be lactose intolerant, since AJ wanted to add in that rule.
Ah.
Anyway,
I
the person who gets to talk next is Christopher. Look at that.
Oh, no.
You're my
Oh
least
my
favorite person
gosh.
of the day.
Dang.
Oh,
How dare
lactose
you.
intolerant.
All right.
Dude, I'm so
No, no,
sorry.
no.
Cheese is so good. I'm so sorry you can't like have it right now.
No. So that's
He
the
can have
third
milk,
person. He can have
cheese,
cheese.
ice cream.
He can have cheese, but he's
Oh.
gonna eat it in shame because he's my
Oh.
least favorite person of the day.
Oh, okay, the third person. Okay, you're good.
Yeah.
You're good.
Oh.
You can
At
have
least I
ice
can
cream,
enjoy
but
the
you're gonna
cheese.
cry about it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna cry all night tonight. This is my last podcast episode, so I hope you guys enjoyed.
Okay, so I'm
It's
gonna
worth
put
it.
so I'm gonna put 20 minutes on the clock, and you'll get to speak right now.
All right. So, yeah, I thought, Phase 4 definitely has its ups and its downs. It's probably perhaps maybe the weakest phase that we've seen so far. And I feel like, there's probably some extenuating circumstances as well. And also just the I feel like Hatter's going to talk about this. So I'm going to steal his point. No, I'm not going to talk about this very much. But just like this assembly line mentality that in the past we saw like maybe 1 or 2 Marvel films a year. It was pretty big. 2011, we saw Thor and Captain America. That's insane. Now we see like 55 projects in like 2 months, so it's yeah. I feel like that's definitely
it's
like
a lot.
hurting. Yeah.
Yeah, you get you get like 2 Marvel movies like in the span of 2 months, and then also in the span of those 2 months you get like 5 TV shows that have like 8 episodes in them, and it's like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I like Marvel
6,
too,
actually.
Or 6, my bad.
Yeah.
My bad. But I mean, still, like, even I love superheroes and I love Marvel, but this is too much consumption. Like,
I mean, it spaced out even during the time it was network TV and like it was week to week, but like, it was on the normal TV schedule that everyone expected. And, as TV went, and it was in different places, so it felt just like any other day of just binging, your average dramas or anything, except all the dramas involve superheroes in Marvel Comics in some capacity.
Yep.
Yeah. So we did see like a pretty massive influx over the years of gradually more and more, which at first was pretty cool, but now I'm not personally getting too burnt out, but I do feel like it is perhaps a better idea to space some things out a little more and take some time. Like we just like blazed through Phase 4 like so fast. It feels like it just started yesterday, but we're at the end already. So like it's like just like what 2 years. It started in 2020, right, with WandaVision. So that's pretty fast.
Yep.
Would you say that you're possibly feeling the effects of like superhero fatigue?
Oh no, yeah. That's I feel like there are definitely a lot of people out there that do feel that way, but I don't personally feel that way because I still see some great superhero projects getting released that maybe they're not always Marvel projects.
Be sure to remind me of that when it's my turn, because I definitely want to add that on my point.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. I totally see what you're saying, Chris. Sorry to cut you off. That's a really good point, that it's not just about the movies and shows themselves, but like how many are being put out in a certain amount of time. And I mean, there have been a ton. I totally imagine that some, even like if you're even if you love superhero movies, I understand if people would feel burnt out. It seems like the MCU is like growing and growing and growing so much, and there's so much going on. So that is a lot. It's a lot. That sounds like a lot to take in and expect yourself to watch. Like, oh man, I have to watch this. Yeah, it's a big queue, and the queue is just growing and growing.
I think it's the after effects of Endgame, because if you think about it, Endgame was this huge thing that literally brought like basically every character from the MCU up until that point into one movie for the Avengers, and it was a big spectacle and everybody loved it. But kind of after that, I feel it's like, what do you do now? Like, how do you top that? And I think that's kind of led to this issue of superhero fatigue, where it's just like, we all still love superheroes, but it's like it would be fine if it was like maybe one TV show and then like maybe 2 TV shows for a year, instead of, we're going to get 4 TV shows in the span of 4 months. It's like, what? No, that's too much. Like, that's too much to watch. It's too much to consume.
Yeah.
Well, not
it's
just
like
that,
taking
but, like,
it's like taking me to a buffet every single weekend. Like, I'm gonna like it the first few times, but once I go like the 4th, the 5th, the 6th time, I'm like, okay, I'm starting to get sick. Can we go somewhere else? No, we're only going here. But I don't like this anymore. This is becoming stale.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, like, the thing is, I think they're missing. They, from my opinion, they should have just taken a break. Like, I'm not saying
I agree.
They needed to like a long 5-year break or something like that, but definitely have some time to recover from this event. It's like watching the Super Bowl, right? If you're really big into the Super Bowl, you're going to get all into it and whatnot. It's like you need a break. It's like you need a time to recollect. You need to think about it, enjoy the things you liked, and
you need like a couple days to wind down, clean the house, and be like, okay, football season's over. Time to go back. Yeah. Time to go back into normal life. Like you need like a couple days to like just wind down from that.
That's another wonderful analogy. Yeah, Super Bowl just happened. You're all partied out. You've seen all your friends and family gather around the couch. Okay, let's just take a breather. We love sports, but let's just calm down for a second.
Well, the thing I was also going to get towards is that you also need the hype. Because if you're expecting these kinds of products that are coming in like clockwork, you're not going to get as excited for it. Because like one of the things that I would argue that the prequels, the reason why they made so much money, even though the quality wasn't received as well, was because there was hype for it. There was like a few year difference between like the first one coming out, the second one's coming out in a few years, and then Revenge of the Sith is coming out in like 2 or like near 3 years, and people are waiting. They're like getting excited for it. But since these movies are coming out, these movies and also the addition of the TV shows, it's like, okay, so this thing's over, and then we're starting with this movie in next week. So go.
Oh my
gosh. It's like you don't have time to get yourself excited for it. It's like you're just expecting it. And I think that's what kind of ruins the magic out of it, because it just becomes clockwork and corporative at that point.
That
I
is
even
such a good point. Yeah.
Sorry, my bad.
Oh, you're good. I was just going to say that is such a good point. And even though, again, I can't speak about, about actually expecting to watch these movies when they're coming out, but I do understand, I think this is going on with like every single studio. It's so fast. Everything is moving so fast. Nothing is drawn out. There's a new 5 movies coming out every single day, and like the amount of trailers that are trending at a time is countless.
God, there's so many these days. Like I remember being in high school, me and Hatter, because we went to high school together.
That's awesome.
Whenever there was a new superhero movie or a new pop culture movie, it always felt like the movie would come out. Oh, this movie is going to be at the beginning of the year, and this movie is going to be during November or December. So we have 2 like giant spectaculars to look forward to.
Yeah.
But now it's like that magic of anticipation, and oh my God, what's this next movie going to be like? I can't wait. The next thing you know, literally, it's already here. Wait, what? Like I didn't have time to process. I didn't have time to speculate or come up with like the theories or theorize and all that. It just feels so like what Hatter said, conveyor belt style, where it's just constantly flowing, constantly giving, and I'm like, well, okay, cool, but you're not giving me the time to like let my meal marinate. That I need the flavor to be there. It's not being given the proper care that I need for it,
Yeah, such an awesome analogy. My goodness. I completely agree. It just gets emotionally rote. I'm sure from Marvel Studios and also from Disney as a whole. I think it's kind of creepy that they don't say the Disney company anymore. They say the Disney family of companies. It's a little like, oh, okay.
They have so many franchises. It's unbelievable because they don't just have the Disney characters. They have oh my God, I can't even. They have so many stinking studios, and it's just like, it annoys me because I'm like, Disney used to be a company that prided itself on its own animation, its own stories,
its own
and that's what defined Disney. But now it's become this: we can't come up with any ideas anymore, so we're just gonna buy other franchises. And I'm like, no, that's such a lazy way to make movies. I agree. Right.
Yeah, just totally conglomerate, creatively bankrupt. And like the other week I just messaged Funny Hatter because like on Disney Plus they added Alvin and the Chipmunks, and I was like,
no.
And I was like, oh my gosh, they finally gave in to my threats and my demands.
It worked.
Finally.
Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Right. Yeah, that's another inside joke with. Yes, that's another thing with me and my siblings. We get each other Alvin and the Chipmunk themed stuff, and it's horrible.
That's actually kind of cute, though. I ain't gonna lie.
Aw, thanks. Yeah, yeah, we like surprising each other. It is cute, and we also love making fun of it to death. And like, oh my gosh, just yeah. Anyway, sorry to go off topic, but yeah, the buffet. That's such a great analogy. It is a lot of a good thing, and it's like there's not a really great sense of timing with it among all big studios now. It's just more. Yeah. Ugh, that's crazy.
That's true.
Yeah, and there are more people. Excuse me. The movie industry is growing so much and so rapidly, so there are more hands on deck to be producing things faster. So logically, yes, it makes total sense why things are being made faster and why there's a lot more of them, because there are a lot more people to work on them. But it's really frustrating that all of these people are banding together to create things that don't last, you know? Yeah, but anyway, yeah, Chris, sorry, please.
No, that's good stuff.
Yeah, we really took a bite out of your time there.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
I'm used to it.
I'm so sorry. I'll stop talking.
No. Feel free to go.
And by the way, what kind of idiot would add in such a creepy title like family to their product?
I know.
Who would do that?
Family of companies. I saw it like at the bottom of Disney Plus. I'm like, why? It just
in the
sounds
end, everyone
really
will
weird.
bow to the mouse.
Yes, like we would be a part of
It is.
the
It is
Disney
all
family.
about bowing to the mouse. That is all
Yeah.
it's about.
Yeah,
Yes.
I love that Mickey Mouse is a huge villain in South Park. It's so funny. Anyway,
He technically is a villain. I mean, he owns Hollywood. Like,
yeah, I'm gonna break your kneecaps, huh? Yeah, so funny.
Oh yes, classic.
Anyway, Chris, talk before we do.
Yeah, I know. Please.
Yes, but yeah, going into Phase 4, I like the idea of like exploring after Endgame. That Endgame does feel like definitely like a big, like, you know, a point in time that's like really big and like was like the biggest moment for the MCU, and it was all coming to that and stuff. So it does make sense, you know. It's perhaps like if they wanted to stop there, like it would have made sense, but no, they, of course they're not going to stop there. So I like the prospect of exploring the aftermath of Endgame and, you know, if this snap and stuff, and I feel like, you know, they did it fairly well, you know. All things considered, there's some pretty interesting points in various shows, like say with WandaVision and with Falcon and Winter Soldier and stuff like that, that they explore these ideas of like what the world is like after like something like massive like that happens. So I don't think it, you know, maybe it doesn't always like hit strong or whatever, really like fully work, but I think that was a pretty interesting idea. Like they're sort of like exploring a few different ideas, introducing new characters to the mix to continue on the franchise and the universe, while also exploring older themes too, like of course, like, you know, the aftermath of Phase 3, and then also like of course setting up the whole multiverse thing with a few different projects like WandaVision and Loki, and then of course Joseph is now here too. How's it going?
What the fuck are you doing here?
Joseph, why are you invading?
Because I just woke up. Hi guys, how's it
Good
going?
morning.
So
We're in the
set up
middle of
some,
a show.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Now the show is improved. How's
It's
everybody
true.
doing?
It's true.
Oh, I proved mine.
So we've set up some recording devices, like say Audacity and whatnot. So tag that on real quick, and then.
Yeah, I'm already I'm recording. You're all good.
Okay, good.
Oh, good. Okay, we're back to business.
Fine, we're back in business.
Right. Yes, but yeah. So Phase 4 setting up stuff, and of course, like it feels like a transitional phase. Really, it feels like it's adding stuff, of course, but also feels like it's sort of like transitioning us into Phase 4 or Phase 5 out of Phase 3. It's sort of like the in between, the interlude, if you will, with all the ideas, like all of the Kang stuff, not Kane stuff, getting set up. Obviously, going to be paying off later for Phase 5 and whatnot, and more and more.
Kane the Conqueror.
Kane the Conqueror, right here on the podcast right now.
Just Photoshop my face onto him sitting on the chair.
Yes.
I thought we were talking about like Kane from the Clone Saga. It'd be a much different Phase 4. Just like showing up, mark a Kane and everybody. Like, grabbing people by the face, and their cells start popping, and web patterns start appearing on there. I mean, I'd watch that. It would be an improvement.
Yeah, pretty fun. That's Phase 5. Oh man, I guess.
If Sony was in charge.
Yeah. Oh God.
Oh man. I guess it begs the question. Like all these. We already have like sort of the groundwork laid for Phase 5 and stuff, and begs the question where it's going and stuff. We've got like of course, Kang and whatnots, and I feel like we'll probably see. If I had to guess, like 2 projects that I think that haven't been revealed yet, but if I had to guess, we'll probably see. I'd imagine we'd probably see Moon Knight versus Big Wheel, very sought after villain. That Moon Knight, of course, is very famous. And then, of course, Batman 2 as well. Batman 2 Phase 5. It's happening. Just.
But Moon Knight's already there. What do you?
Everything going on in HBO, I would not be surprised.
To be honest, at this point, I wouldn't be shocked if Marvel and Disney decided to say, you know what? Warner Brothers is not treating DC Comics very well. Let's bring you guys into the fold.
We're gonna
absorb them.
Even though I think that the writing of the MCU and the way Marvel Studios does their superhero movies, I don't think it would fit well for DC, but at least DC would finally have the financial backing that they need, because Warner Brothers is a bunch of idiots.
Yeah. Currently, the people owning DC are not fit for DC anymore.
What are you talking about? Have you seen the new Space Jam? No, I'm kidding.
Exactly.
Did you see Lola Bunny with Wonder Woman? Did you see how they chopped her breasts off? Like, that's amazing. Okay?
It's perfect. It's just what we needed.
There's nothing stupid about that.
Yeah, well, hey, they got James Gunn in charge of everything now.
That's true.
Like,
That's
maybe things will get better.
I'm curious to see what
dope.
I'm curious to see what he will do, though, because a couple of his superhero movies besides Guardians of the Galaxy have been pretty good. So
yeah,
I'm just curious to see where he'll spend things.
Probably it's trying to sneak in more penises and vaginas in his movies.
I mean,
exactly.
I am a
gosh.
cultured individual, so that I generally find those improve things.
Oh my gosh.
True.
Do you mean
If
like
they're-
the shapes of those things? Because I know, like, I've heard about that as a theme in the comic books. Like, they'll sneak in kind of the suggestion of, something.
Oh yeah. Although,
fucking James Gunn, he just fucking goes for it.
He does.
Yeah. Sometimes I think
Like, I will never forget that when he said he casted John Cena in the new Suicide Squad movie, I was like, okay, this is going to be funny. And literally, there's a scene where he shows up and they're like in the middle of the night and they're like sleeping on a mission. And what happens? John Cena comes up out of nowhere and he's literally just wearing tiny whities with a protection cup underneath. And I'm like, bro, it's hitting me in my face. Why? Why did you have to do that? Why?
it's making sure you're paying attention.
I was
Put it
I was
away.
referencing the part where, like, in Suicide Squad, to where they sneak into, like, the camp that they're ordered to take down with extreme prejudice. And there's this guy who's literally wearing a shirt. He's not wearing any pants. His dick and balls are, like, full out.
Yeah, that's
and then,
true, yeah.
And then he just gets, like, shot, like, right in the face.
It's
And then in
just
He deserves
Peacemaker-
it, being so
Yeah.
decent.
how dare he?
Oh wow!
And then in Peacemaker, there's like it's not part of the story like at all, but like they're going like through a a debriefing of like what they're supposed to do on their mission, and like one of the main characters, like she opens up her iPad, but she doesn't know how to work it, so she's been like sexting like her wife, like on. It's like, oh no, that's a picture from my wife. You're not supposed to see that. It's like, what the fuck, man? And it's like, I didn't know how to use the iPad. I thought it was just like it was like a phone or whatever. Like, god damn it.
Wait,
when someone
Suicide
hands
Squad
you.
too?
No, this is
Yeah, that's
Peacemaker.
Peacemaker, the TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, when somebody hands you their
So a
iPad,
piece-
you don't scroll.
So
you don't scroll.
Peacemaker is the character that John Cena plays in the new Suicide Squad movie, and after the movie, they decided to give him his own TV show. And
No,
personally,
they
I
announced
think
it
it's a
even
good
before
choice.
the movie even came out.
Being killing.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
I think it's the best thing in the DC film continuity.
It was pretty great, yeah.
I really do. But that's
I know
mean
that
the
the Harley
movie set a
Quinn
low bar.
show is a lot like that.
Well,
I've seen
the
a teeny tiny
Yeah.
bit of it, and again, I regretted it. But
well,
I
Harley
really
Quinn.
regretted it.
Well,
I think
Harley
the show
Quinn's
is
a bit
pretty
more
funny.
like Harley Quinn's more like on like the parody side, where
Yeah,
Peacemaker
yeah.
is like a
It seems like it, yeah.
is a dramatic comedy.
Comma
Dramedy.
drama.
Comma
I
drama.
like it. I like
Comma
comma
drama.
drama.
Okay, so we've taken up a lot of your time, Christopher. If you want, I can add on 5 more minutes if you wanted to talk more about it.
Oh no, yeah, that's all good. Yeah, that's
Okay.
Christopher, don't be so polite. Do you want to say more things?
Fucking speak!
I do. I'm about to review every single Phase 6 movie. I've got the entirety, all the scripts memorized right now.
Ah.
Hang in.
Give us the details.
Reveal them in 5 minutes.
Howard the fucking Duck.
Easy. Howard the Duck. It's all Phase 6
Howard the
is just
Duck
Howard
solo
the Duck.
movie.
No,
Yes.
no, please, anything but that, anything but
It's
that.
too late.
I would pay
You
a lot
thought-
of money to see that.
Like
Just hits.
like in
Oh.
Secret Wars, like instead of it being Doctor Doom as the main antagonist, it turns out it was just Howard the Duck all along.
That would be so
Confirmed.
good.
Oh
I
my
would be so
It's
happy
official.
for that.
It's happening.
The puppet of him looks like more than a villain, like a demon. Like, oh my
Hell
gosh.
Spawn.
Yeah, he would make an amazing villain. He really looks the part.
Yeah, just don't even do the CGI thing from Guardians of the Galaxy. Just get the puppet back. and
Just
make
get the
him-
puppet from the
Yeah.
80s movie
Look at
and
that.
put it in, yes.
Yeah, Star Wars has been having the right idea. They've been bringing back more puppets, you know? Like with Baby Yoda and... Oh, I'm sorry, Grogu.
We still call him Baby
Watch
Yoda.
it.
It don't
No,
matter.
watch it. You're on
Baby
thin
Yoda.
ice.
Yeah, you told me, like, your cousin's toddler, like, was taught to say... Isn't that right? Sorry, I just remembered.
Yeah, so my
Random
cousin, yeah, he likes to mess with me and my mom because they're basically like siblings. But like he taught his like 2-year-old girl, like kid, to say, "That's not Grogu, that's Baby Yoda." I'm like, you fucker.
You
Oh my
disappoint me.
No, she's
that-
got the right idea. I fully support. That's some great parenting right there.
Oh, real quick, because I had this happen to me. I kid you not. It was so fucking funny. On Halloween, where I work at, we get a lot of families coming, right? And so we have a lot of. It was Halloween Day. A lot of kids were coming in with their parents, and then like they're basically like toddlers. And one of them was like. This family, this girl was dressed up as a fairy, and then the boy was dressed up as Grogu. And so I go like, "Oh, that's cute. We have a fairy, and what do we have here? We have Grogu." And like the mom says is ironically and with the fullest of confidence, as "Oh no, that's Baby Yoda." And I'm like, "Damn it!" And like, "Are you sure?" He's like, "Where's Mando?" It's like, "Oh, I don't know who that is. I don't watch Star Wars. I just saw the costume and it just fit." I'm like, "You fucking bitch! If I didn't care about my job, you would be in the ground. No, we're next to the ocean. You're going down to the ocean. I'm gonna have fish eat you."
Hey,
hurts.
you're the cow nose ray whisperer. You just sick 'em on her. Just have them,
Yep.
attack, jump,
that.
have them jump out of the water.
As a nerd and a geek, I feel personally attacked because they said,
gosh.
I don't know who Mandalorian is. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, it's so funny because she just said it like with the utmost confidence. No, that's Baby Yoda. I don't watch Star Wars.
It's like one of those memes on Facebook. Like,
It was a
meme. It's like completely unrelated, and it's like just I don't know
Meme scenario.
Real life meme.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
When memes start walking into your job, it's time to fucking quit.
Oh my gosh!
Get out!
Do not work at Walmart, please. I beg of you. Walmart has
Guilty.
Like people say, oh man, yeah. People say like, oh, everyone in the South is so nice. Like I only moved to Texas recently.
That's a damn lie. That is, I don't even live in the South, and I can tell you, I know people
true.
ain't
Like,
nice over
I
there.
grew up in the South for a long time, and then I moved to Washington for like a bajillion years, and then I moved back, and yeah, old people there are so freaking mean and entitled. Like, it's the worst.
That is true.
It's the worst. And not like every single one. Like, there are some nice ones, but a lot of them are so entitled. And it, like, I love people, but that job made me really hate people. And I know that can be true for a lot of jobs, but yeah, don't work at Walmart. And if you have worked there, don't work there again.
Hi, welcome to Walmart. Get your shit and get out.
Yeah,
Pretty
just
much.
go,
Exactly.
go.
It'd be like if I were in charge of a Walmart, I'd be like Mr. Krabs, like
Now you gotta buy something, you gotta stand there because there's a standing fee.
Yes.
That is perfect. Yeah, the manager of the one that I worked at, my little brother is working there now. Bless his soul. I hope he's okay. I hope he's still alive. But the manager, like,
Now they killed him
like,
and
we
put
go
him
to
in the
church-
back for half off.
we go. I know.
Chain him up in the back so he can sing the Christmas album.
Sell his remains to Spirit Halloween. Yeah.
Oh, that's so great. Yeah, like the manager, like he goes to church with us, and he's like extremely nice, super nice guy. And I'm like, how can you stand, being over this store that has such awful, mean people in it?
he smokes weed in the confessional.
Oh my gosh.
I will say this though, the one thing I will give people in the South is that they know how to make some really good barbecue because you can't beat Southern food. Like was there
Southern
Cajun food, barbecue, sweet tea, oh my god, you can't beat any of that stuff. It's so good.
Speaking of Cajun food,
Funny.
have you guys already? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I'll be real quick. It's like like during the Civil War, is like imagine like the reason why the South was kept alive is because of their food, and like Abraham Lincoln goes up like the South, they're like, "You're getting off light."
Yeah, I know. This time.
Yeah.
You're gonna pass. You're gonna pass this time.
Do this shit again, though. I can't promise anything.
More soulful, motherfucker.
Like, okay, you open the best barbecue I ever saw, and it better be good.
Listen, I'm gonna give you a pass because of the sweet tea, but if you try anything, I will ban it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, you just can't have slaves make it, okay? Okay, as long as you don't do that. That wasn't even funny. Stop. That was
part of the
funny.
No, that was good. It was good.
That's pretty
Oh
decent.
my
That was
gosh.
pretty decent.
That was
joke.
specifically part of the deal of the
okay,
Emancipation
okay.
Proclamation.
So, speaking of Cajun food, I'm gonna be the responsible one. I'm gonna bring it back. Speaking of Cajun food, I know I got here like an hour late. Did you guys talk about
Gambit?
the implications of X-Men in the next phase? Or
No, not yet. Not yet.
We haven't gotten there
You
yet.
might possibly say something about
Are they
that.
finally going to move to the next letter of the alphabet? 'Cause they've been
Yes.
really.
Finally.
First it was
Where's the
18,
Y,
they
man?
finally- They got all the way to X. They got to X, like, super impressive. And, yeah, but they've been dwelling on it for so long. X-Men, X-Files. Like, they can't move on from X, so...
It's the coolest letter.
I think
everybody's
I
gonna
was
the
gonna
thing
say,
is-
I think it really is like the best. Also, it's because X represents like a null value, right? Like there's
Yeah.
no other letter that really offers the
Represents,
same sensation.
10.
So it's just
Wow. So it's a math
Well,
equation.
Yeah.
Well,
so
no,
if they-
That's how they
it's-
like to play.
I think they said forever ago that they're called X-Men because it's meant to represent like the next step in human evolution or something.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
I've
right.
heard
Yeah,
that.
that's
Yeah, I've
because
heard that. That
they
makes sense.
they incorporated like in their DNA like their genetic
Yeah.
makeup, they have the X gene, and that's supposed to be like the next evolutionary step.
Yep.
That is the
As a woman, I'm kind of disappointed that it's not called X people, at least. It's like they're boys and girls. Oh, you think I'm joking? No, I'm kidding. You think I'm joking?
I was gonna
I
say,
bet
like,
you didn't even
with-
like Captain Marvel, did you? No,
There was.
I was
there
gonna
was
say,
one
like,
Marvel
with the-
writer who came out and said that. I don't remember. Like,
Wait,
I-
what?
there
Wait,
was a
about X-Men?
Yeah, there was a Marvel writer who made a couple of offhand comments about that a few months, like a year ago.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
wanted to like change the name of the X-Men to like something else, and I
No,
was
just-
like,
just
no,
the-
it's X-Men.
It's
She wanted to change it to just the mutants, not X-Men.
The funny thing is, now I'm not like an expert on like gender theory or
You
linguistics,
do
but
not
I
have
think,
to be.
but I think, I could be wrong, but I think like using men in that context is technically meant to be gender neutral.
Yeah.
Like it's
No,
something
it
that's
is.
like,
It is.
Man. Yeah.
yeah. It's like
Or
a derivative.
the
It's just like
G-men
totally
kind of
refer
vibe
to all
there,
of humanity.
with the
yeah.
Men
Like
can totally be used to
linguistically.
refer to both men and women, and
Yeah.
just all of humanity. Man,
Yeah.
it's totally
Human.
normal. It's not.
But I mean,
you know,
if you think
sexist.
about it, though, ever since superheroes were really invented, I mean, look at the oldest superheroes: Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, the X-Men, Iron Man. You know, it's like the names were just so like copy, like just take this one thing and put it in front of the other. And nowadays, you actually have superhero names that are unique, like Green Lantern, Flash,
That's a great
Martian.
Yeah, that's a great point.
You know, it's like that's just how they are. You know, so
they don't have to be. Yeah, they don't have to be copy and paste. Yeah.
Were they all
that makes
derivatives of
sense.
Superman, actually?
Yeah.
Because was Superman the first something man
yeah.
character?
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
Superman was the
Probably.
first superhero ever, but
I know, like, for a fact, like, Captain Marvel, as in, like, Shazam, was definitely a derivative of Superman from a different company until DC.
wait, I thought we were
Shazam.
talking about Captain Sparkle Fingers or Captain
Don't get me started. The whole name change thing fills me with so much rage. No, but specifically, I'm talking about like something man characters. So like
Sure,
Superman, the first
So common.
blank man character, and then they all
Mega
like were
Man.
derived.
I think so.
Yeah,
Mega Man.
and then they were like derived
Metro Man.
Metro Man.
from. Hey, Mega Man is a great movie, man.
It
Like,
is.
Oh,
That-
yeah,
that
it's
actually
amazing.
that is a very good movie. To be
Genius.
honest.
So funny. Yeah. Astro
Okay,
Man.
okay.
Yeah.
Bring it
Astro Man.
back. Bring it back. We're gonna go back to the wheel. We've already gone off topic like the third
Oh
time.
wait. Could I have a closing thoughts? Real quick?
Closing argument. Go.
All right. All I wanted to say is Marvel Phase 4. That's it. Okay. I'm good. Thank you. I thought about this for a long time. I've been waiting to say it. and then-
contributed so much. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm
I
glad
I'm
you
tried.
not
did your
laughing.
homework.
I'm crying. That was so beautiful.
I've been working on him. He'll be more assertive one day.
Oh.
Okay, so I'm gonna go back to the wheel, and this time, the third person who gets to speak will be lactose intolerant for the rest of the day. You can't have any ice cream, no milk.
Well, that's embarrassing. Given my plans
truly
for
tragic.
later today.
Yeah.
Kane,
Oh, no.
I'm so sorry.
thank you.
You're
Plans
lactose intolerant.
decimated.
Your plans
Why?
just changed.
I
between-
wanted to have ice cream today.
I mean, you can have ice
Can't
cream. You'll just get the
always
shits later.
What you want?
Alrighty, so I'm putting 20 minutes on the clock, and you may start with your opinion on Phase 4 transitioning to Phase 5. Go.
Okay, so Phase 4, I would say, I mean, me and Hatter have been following the MCU pretty much since it began because, I mean, this came out when we were in high school together. I mean, we saw the first Avengers movie together. We saw Age of Ultron together. I can't even remember how many of the MCU movies we've seen together over our lives. But when it comes to Phase 4, I like how a lot of the people I follow that do like opinions on movies and TV shows kind of take this phase as sort of like the griefing phase, where it's like, yeah, we're transitioning to the new phase, the old characters are going away, and now we're having the new younger heroes step in to fill the roles. But you also see that a lot of the side heroes that we had, for example, Wanda in WandaVision. Yeah, she helped defeat Thanos, but she's still grieving and dealing with the fact that, well, she lost Vision. She lost her future. She lost everything that she wanted. You have Doctor Strange dealing with the fact that, he still cannot be with Christine, even though he's tried so hard to. You have Sam Wilson and Bucky Barnes are dealing with the fact that, hey, we have to move on from Cap Steve Rogers because Steve is gone now. He's old. He passed away. You have just now with Black Panther Wakanda Forever, T'Challa is passed away. So now it's on to Shuri and the rest of the family to move on and continue Wakanda. So this whole Phase 4 for me, even though it had its good moments, like Shang-Chi was really good, Spider-Man No Way Home was a giant nostalgia fest, but also a fun movie to watch. I would say Black Panther Wakanda Forever is definitely another good one because I got to see the movie, and I would say it's definitely one of the better ones of Phase 4. But this phase really felt like, kind of like what we've already said before, just this conveyor belt, very factory, like shit, like make it one day and then ship it the next. It's like, I don't mind having more to consume from superhero, like from the superhero genre, but it just, a lot of the stuff with like Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Okay, cool, but not really something I'm interested in. Loki. Okay, I'll watch Loki. I like Loki. She-Hulk. I like She-Hulk's character, but I'm not really gonna watch it. The Eternals. Like, okay, cool, but not my cup of tea. It's like I get you're trying to introduce all these new characters, but then when you sit back and you watch these shows and some of these movies that they have pumped out over the last 2 years, it doesn't have that, how do I put it? It doesn't have that familiarity, kind of like the issue I've been having with Star Wars lately, where ever since the new trilogy of Star Wars got released by Disney, it feels like everything that Star Wars has released since then doesn't feel like Star Wars. And it's kind of forming into that with Marvel, where after Endgame, it's kind of hard to bring something new to the table that's like going to catch people by surprise, because people have this like preconceived idea of what to expect from a Marvel movie. And I think it's kind of the idea where like we've been so spoiled with all these characters, all these movies, all these stories. And now we get to this new phase and it's like, okay, we know the X-Men are coming. We know the Fantastic Four are coming. There's going to be a new Avengers team. We have the Thunderbolts are coming. I mean, maybe the Midnight Suns will be coming with like Blade and Moon Knight and all that. But I mean,
maybe
it's so much
too,
to pack.
We'll see.
Blaze.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like, it's so much to cram into this universe now, where it's just, in Phase 4, we've had all these characters go through all these traumatic experiences, and now they're dealing with, the ramifications of, we just beat Thanos, but we also had to sacrifice 5 years of our lives because we lost at the beginning, and it's just strange how like this entire universe treats how the snap was like, it's a collective, trauma that everybody shares, but we're not going to talk about it, i.e. pandemic. But I mean, it just, this phase to me felt like it did have some good moments, but this phase felt so bland. Like, it felt like there was no excitement. It was just like, here, have this, or here, have this, here, enjoy this for the time being. And it's like, okay, we're waiting. Where's the next big thing? Like, I feel like the only time this phase really had a huge high was when Spider-Man No Way Home came out. But that was because it was every live action version of Spider-Man in the same movie. And it was every villain from every Spider-Man movie in the same movie. But I feel like after that,
Yeah, I didn't buy Nicholas Hammond anyway.
Yeah, right.
That's
Exactly.
true. That's true. I mean, Shang-Chi I thought was really, really good because it was different and it was new and it felt like the genuine MCU of like, hey, new superhero, new story. But everything else was just like so like bland and just like, I don't want to say unoriginal, but it didn't grab me the way I was expecting an MCU property would do, which is what it's done in the past.
So, you said that you felt like it hasn't grabbed you in the past. What about the other three phases would you say has gripped you that you think Phase 4 hasn't done? Like, where did the other three phases succeed to where Phase 4 didn't succeed for you?
I would say the connective story, because we all knew that at the end of the first Avengers movie that the end goal was to fight Thanos. And even though I know King the Conqueror is technically going to be the new Thanos of this universe, which I mean, okay, cool, but it doesn't feel like the only movie right now, or the only properties where it seems like, oh, King the Conqueror is clearly the next bad guy is obviously Loki season 1. And then you have Ant-Man Quantumanium, I think is what it's called, the new Ant-Man movie that's going to be out.
Yeah, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't forget the Wasp.
No one cares about the Wasp.
Disney's
anyway.
not going to let you forget that.
But I feel like besides those two movies, those are like the only two properties that like really show, hey, this is supposed to be the new bad guy. This is supposed to be the new direction. But everything else is like, okay, we have the multiverse, but what else are you gonna do? It's just like, okay, we have a way to tell different stories, but when they were telling us that, oh, we're gonna have the multiverse, and it's like, oh, okay, cool, but I feel like the way Marvel has handled their idea of the multiverse has just been so like boring. Like if you compare this to the way DC Comics handles their multiverses, oh my god, DC Comics blows it out of the water, because DC knows like, hey, it's the same character, it's just from a different time period, it's from a different universe. But in but for Marvel, it's like, yeah, there's another Spider-Man. Okay, what other information do we get? Oh, if you want to know the information about this character, you have to go watch his movie. And I'm like, what? No, what if I haven't seen the movie? Just, I'm watching the movie now. Like, tell me in this movie. Like, just tell me here. Like, I mean, they got away with it on Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, but that's just because everybody loves Spider-Man. But besides those two, it's like, for example, when Daredevil showed up in She-Hulk, yeah, everybody saw the Netflix Daredevil TV show, but I knew a couple people that were like, wait, why is Daredevil acting a little different? Why doesn't he act like he did in the TV show? And I go, I can't explain that, because it's the MCU. This is just what they do. They change everybody. So I don't know. It just it came
actually
off
adapting Daredevil comics. They're not made by Frank Miller.
Yeah,
that's their first mistake, because most of those are less good. I've said it. But no, yeah.
The only thing I liked about how they portrayed Daredevil in the She-Hulk TV show was the fact that they made him more agile than just stunt work.
Well, they made him comic book Daredevil in that respect, yeah. But yeah, like, I mean, hey, dark characters can have lighthearted moments. Like, all joking aside, because I do prefer like super gritty, like Frank Miller Bendis Daredevil. You know, like even Mark Waid's run, which I hate because I don't really like Mark Waid that much. The whole point of that run was that that Matt was in denial. Like, I don't know, spoilers if you haven't read the Mark Waid run, but he's like forcibly like, nope, I'm so happy and lighthearted like I was in the 60s. Nothing can keep me down. And then you get like to the halfway point. He's like, oh God, all my trauma is spilling out of me. Everything still sucks. Oh no. So, you know, like, I don't know. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt because I love the character and I love what Netflix did. And, you know, we'll see. We'll see. He was on like She-Hulk, which was a goofy fucking show. So
it really, they could have done so much better with She-Hulk because I like Jennifer Walters as a character. I love her in the comic books, but I just felt the TV show didn't feel like they took some liberties from the comic book, but it felt more of like the God. What do you say? It social justice warrior? Is that what it's called?
I mean, it's overplayed, but yes.
Is that SJW?
Use that.
But it kind of
most people
reminded
would
me a
say
lot
like a woke, I guess.
Yeah, woke. My bad.
Wow.
It just felt like
some people would say that.
It felt like a really woke TV show, and I was like, okay, but I kind of wanted to see some superhero fun, and this was just like a really bad comedy lawyer TV show, is what it felt like to me.
I don't even think the progressive values that they were trying to involve in the show was necessarily the problem. I think he could have done a lot of that.
Yeah, it's like
I think it was the writing.
The writing in
itself.
general was not good. I mean, they literally put it in an interview while the show was still being rleased, where I
don't know how to write a lawyer show.
Yeah, I know, right?
I get. Yeah, they came out. They were like, they just casually, they just like put it out there. And
I'll say this.
We don't know how to do it.
they also never wanted to do a She-Hulk show.
Because
what?
Jessica Gao originally wanted to be on Shang-Chi because she's Asian, and she said that. It's like, oh well, fuck. Since you didn't put me on on Shang-Chi, it's like you better put me on something. And like Kevin Feige's like, all right, go work on She-Hulk.
Well, I think the story, what I remember reading was that she was making a pitch about the show she wanted to make, and it might have been about Shang-Chi. I can't remember, but Feige or whomever she was talking to said to her, about 10
Actually,
minutes in, sounds like you're talking about a She-Hulk show.
You know what would have been even a better. You know what would have been better? Would have been a smarter move, even though I don't think it would have been well received at the time, but I think it would have made more sense for the story. Remember at the end of Shang-Chi where his sister is the one that takes over the father's organization?
Yeah.
What if that was the one that lead into, say, her getting her own spin-off show and she becomes one of those side hero characters like Black Widow's Yelena, like how Yelena's supposed to be the new Black Widow. Why not do that and give like Shang-Chi's sister her own TV show, and then you have the girl who was supposed to work on Shang-Chi, she works on that. So she gets what she wanted, and also Marvel gets a new TV show. Like, I think that would have made more sense.
Yeah, that's good.
I know this sounds kind of silly, but sorry, I was just thinking really quick. This sounds kind of silly, but I do think that the actress who plays She-Hulk and Mark Ruffalo, I think they do kind of look like cousins.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. Marvel,
I think they look related.
Marvel does a really good job at finding people that look very, very similar to each other. I don't know how they do that, but they just I think it goes off of face structure.
Yeah, I don't think Nebula and Gamora look a lot alike. They look like different races, and I'm not just saying that because Nebula is.
I mean, they are though.
But
they're both from different.
Well, but they're also not related.
Yeah.
But
never mind. Oh, okay.
But
Forget I
the
said
thing with
that. Okay, I forgot that.
The thing with Phase 4, like, because I even told Hatter about this when they announced all of the new movies, when they announced Phase 4 and Phase 5 together before they reworked Phase 5, was that when they did, I was more excited for Phase 5 than I was Phase 4. Because the only thing in Phase 4 that I was really looking forward to was obviously Spider-Man No Way Home and Wakanda Forever. But that was before Chadwick Boseman passed away. And I remember having this conversation with Hatter before he went back to Texas the last time I met him. We were talking
Texas?
about... Yeah, Texas.
Yes, it's
Dude.
a state.
But we had this conversation about, well, what is Marvel going to do with Black Panther? Because are they just going to write off T'Challa, or which is technically what they did? They just wrote him off in the movie, but it's understandable why they did it. But I remember we were talking about it for the longest time. Like, are they going to run into the Superman problem that DC has had for years after Christopher Reeve's death? Because literally, even today, I mean, Henry Cavill is a wonderful Superman. Brandon Routh is a wonderful Superman. Tyler, what's his name from the CW show? Hecklin. Tyler, him. He's a phenomenal Superman. But you have to admit the truth that all of them are great, but they're not Christopher Reeve. Christopher Reeve is Superman. You know, it's the same thing with Batman. A lot of people look at Batman and they say it's either Adam West or Michael Keaton. That's it.
It's fucking Kevin Conroy.
It is Kevin Conroy.
Yeah.
I mean, Kevin Conroy as well, yes. But I'm talking about live. I'm talking about live action. You know, so it's like
Kevin Conroy played Bruce Wayne.
That is true. Yes,
in a mech suit. Oh god,
they did. Yeah, but I mean, like I remember we had this conversation about T'Challa, and I was like, well, wait, are they just going to recast him? Because if they do, who are they going to cast him with? Like, that's going to be so much pressure. But they ended up passing the mantle to Shuri, which was, and I told Chris that's what I thought they would do because it would be the same.
Yeah, they were already planning that.
And obviously it worked out. But I was more excited for Phase 5 than I was Phase 4 because a lot of the stuff that came out in Phase 4 that they were planning, none of it just sounded like stuff I wanted to see. Like, Scarlet Witch got her own TV show. Okay. I mean, it was good, but not really what I was excited about. Loki got his own TV show. Yeah. Wait, Loki? Why does he get a show? He's a villain. He's a villain. How is he getting a TV show?
Yeah. Because the inherent problem in all being live action.
Yeah. Because Tom Hiddleston is one of those British actors that every man and woman falls for, just like Matt Smith.
I mean, Matt Smith isn't really
let's be honest.
in the benefits yet on that one compared to Tom Hiddleston.
Matt Smith got to be on Game of Thrones. Now people were going to be
now he is.
Personally, I see Matt Smith and I start having violent reactions.
Before, during the initial craze, he was not enjoying the benefits of it, per se.
When they announced that they were going to do a spin-off of Game of Thrones, I was like, okay. And then they said Matt Smith is going to be one of the Targaryens. Like, sign me up. Sign me up right now. I want to watch it.
Yeah. I was going to say, I haven't exactly fallen for Tom Hiddleston. I've had friends who are like way obsessed with him.
Get out!
Everybody is in love with Tom Hiddleston. Like, it's so funny.
I find him boring.
No. I think he's a super charming actor. I think he's an awesome actor, of course. But, I mean, some of my friends are like, oh, he's so hot. And I'm like, is he?
Is he, though?
Just the
but it's like everything in the...
Is he?
Is he, though? Yeah.
But, like... But everything in Phase 4, to me, like, there were some good moments, but a lot of it that just came out was just stuff that did not interest me. Like, even Thor: Love and Thunder, I went to go see that, and I wasn't, like, it was okay. It wasn't... I was hoping it would be great, but it was okay. Like, I can forget about it.
Yeah.
Shang-Chi was probably one of my favorite things that came out of Phase 4 because it was so different, and I went into it with a blind eye because I didn't know Shang-Chi's character that well. So when I came out of the movie, I was like, wow, that was awesome. That was great. Like, I want more. I want more of that. Like, the Moon Knight show, I was really excited for because Moon Knight is actually one of my favorite underrated characters.
I'm sorry.
Like, because Moon Knight is one of my favorite underrated characters in Marvel Comics. So I was like, oh, finally, he's going to be in the MCU. And the show was, I mean, it was okay. It wasn't great, but it was okay.
Oh,
like,
is it bad?
Now imagine if they make a Moon Knight show.
It's not bad, but it could have been better.
Kane, imagine if you were talking to Moon Knight right now. What would you say?
I just look.
okay.
I just look at Moon Knight and just be like, so who am I talking to? Am I talking to Lockley? Which one am I talking to right now? Like, who's in charge?
Well, tell him, Moon Knight.
The one you see coming. Yeah. No, like, dude, Moon Knight was so depressing for me. Just real quick,
really was.
super mini rant. Moon Knight was such a fucking bizarre experience for me because I came into it super excited, all ready to go. I'm like, fuck yeah, Moon Knight, let's go. And I heard a couple of fucking changes they were making ahead of time, and I'm like, okay, we don't really like billionaires or like rich people these days. Understandable. So I guess that's why they changed Stephen Grant. But all right, Grant didn't even start out as a millionaire in the comics, so like I can work with this. And then they're like not mentioning Jake Lockley, and I'm like, okay.
Well, they gave hints. They did give hints to him throughout the show. Like if Moon Knight.
No, hold on. I'm working up to it. So I'm like, oh, okay. I'm talking about what I heard before the show started, like leading up to the show. Things I was reading. I'm like, okay. They're changing Stephen Grant. They haven't mentioned Jake Lockley. Okay. It's kind of annoying and frustrating, but maybe it's because they only have 6 episodes. Only having 6 episodes is a mistake, but let's see where they go with this. And then the show happens. And I'm like, okay, episode 1 wasn't too bad. All right, let's see where this goes. And then I just realized, oh, Moon Knight's not in this at all. Like, this has nothing to do with the comics. This is so totally off. Oh my god, this is not a Moon Knight show. This is something completely different. Right. So then I'm like taken to the internet after episode 6, and I'm like, right, let's all bitch together about how terrible this is. And like all the Moon Knight fan pages were like, oh my god, that was incredible. I felt so gaslit. Because I'm like, what? What? No. And every time I would say, that's not Moon Knight, they're like, oh, well, Moon Knight's been interpreted so many different ways. I'm like, no, that's a shitty way. You can't use that. Shut up. Yeah. That's not.
The two ways. When it came to Moon Knight, like the 2 things that caught me off guard was like when they showed Stephen Grant when he transforms into the suit for the first time and he's actually Mr. Knight. And I was like, wait, what is he doing here? That's such a new comic thing. Like, why did they put that in the show? And then the other one, and it caught me so off guard because at the time I only know a little bit about Moon Knight at that point, was the episode when, what was it? Stephen and Mark, I almost forgot Mark Spector's name. I don't know why the fuck that happened. They go to the afterlife and they're like in some psych ward. And at the very end of the episode, they get to a door. And who pops through the door? This giant hippo in an Egyptian dress.
I remember
and she just goes, hi. And I'm like, wait, who is that? And then the entire internet.
Really hard.
And then I went to the internet and I was like, okay, somebody has to know who this is. Apparently, that was an Egyptian goddess named Tateret, and I was like, wait.
Yeah, she's like a bad guy.
Yeah, she's like actually a villain in Egyptian mythology, but in the TV show, she was kind, and I was like, wait a minute. This is an Egyptian goddess? Why is it a talking hippo? Like, what? I was expecting Anubis. Like, if you're gonna do Egyptian gods, give me like Anubis or Horus or something.
Yeah,
but
one of the cool ones.
Like, literally, it's just this giant talking hippo, and I'm like, what am I watching? What is this TV show?
In the depiction of like most Egyptian gods, it's usually just like the god is there, and like they have like the body of like, or they have a body of a man, but like the head is like representative of like what like they're the god of, and so that's pretty common.
Yeah.
I just think they hadn't really primed people for that sort of. They hadn't like established.
It was so unexpected too. It was just like a random, hey, check out this Egyptian goddess that's going to be in our TV show. Wait, what? When is this? No, when was this supposed to happen? We didn't expect this.
Well, I think that's. But this is kind of like talking about how like it's not really a Moon Knight show, blah blah blah. It's funny too when you look at She-Hulk and you look at like all the changes they made to the depiction of She-Hulk in the She-Hulk.
I
show.
wish I could get the Make the Stallion scene back. I wish I could get those 30-second back.
Oh my gosh!
So you look at that.
I think that might be.
I think that might be
scared.
A key element of why this phase is failing too, because you look at like the first few phases and a lot of the iconic characters are still pretty in line with their comic book counterparts, right?
But they were also connected through a story that like connected all the dots. This one to me, like a lot of these storylines didn't really connect together. Even the movies didn't connect together.
There's no stakes. There's no stakes at all. Like there's nothing that they're building towards. That's what it is.
No grand narrative. Like
there's no stakes. There's no like. The only stakes that really happened was in Eternals, which, I mean, let's be honest, Eternals was a complete dumpster fire. But literally, the ending of Eternals is where you have the freaking Celestial is sticking out of the Earth. That would end all life on Earth, and yet, after that movie was over, we're going to pretend...
everything's fine.
We're gonna pretend that didn't happen because that movie was so bad, we're going to retcon it. And I'm like... Why?
I don't think they have much of a plan. I think a lot of these are being developed individually. I think so too. I don't know how much cross-talking is happening behind the scenes. I think
I agree. It really feels like a lot of individual projects, which kind of made me mad because it's like, okay, I don't mind if you have like 1 or 2 individual projects, but literally everything didn't connect. Like Loki made sense because obviously it's built up to Kang the Conqueror, the multiverses, and it connected to the stuff that happened before in the other timeline with Loki. WandaVision made sense because, of course, you know, it's the aftermath of Wanda basically losing her mental state. And then that carried over into Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, which I will be honest, I went into the Doctor Strange movie expecting it to be completely different. Because I was not anticipating that Wanda was going to be the fucking villain. I thought for sure it was going to be who's Doctor Strange's friend?
Baron Mordo.
That was the first movie.
Oh, Mordo.
Mordo. I thought he was going to be the villain. I thought he was supposed to be the villain, and then I literally get like 15 minutes into the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness movie, and then you learn right off the get-go, hey, Scarlet... Wanda is the villain. And I'm like, wait, why? Why is she the villain?
Why did we even turn Mordo? Why did you even do that? Yeah,
I was like, I thought
man shows up, ruins Benjamin Bratt's life, and then fucking leaves.
I thought for sure what they were going to do was that Wanda was going to be in the movie because obviously Doctor Strange is dealing with another powerful magic evil force user or evil magic user. So he needs someone who's just as gifted in the mystic arts as he is. So he goes to Wanda. Because she was reading one of the books at the end of WandaVision. But she's literally the entire movie, her whole purpose is just so she can see her children who don't exist in her own timeline, but they exist in other universes. So she's just hopping multiverses just so she can play mom. It was so strange, quote unquote.
Get it?
Like,
strange.
But
like
seriously, God damn it, you guys gotta stop taking the things I'm about to talk about anyway. But I know that I know, right? I didn't plan this out well.
How much time do I have left?
Actually, you're like way past your time. I didn't want to be rude.
I'm sorry.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
I can hear you.
Thanks. I just disconnected for a second.
My bad. So conclusion to Phase 4. It had some ups and downs, but it definitely could have been a lot better with what they had to work with.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And if by some chance it's my turn next, then I'm definitely going to start.
It's your show.
Like that. So we're going to go back to the wheel.
You're the host.
It's my show. I'm reminding you and myself because I'm bad at being rude sometimes. But we're going to go back to the wheel.
You think you could do this to me? I'm the police. I will sit here. Y'all just live here.
So we're going to go back to the wheel. This time is the wheel of normalcy. So whoever gets to talk next is just a normie. Not that we didn't already have one of those today, but that's just how the wheel works. Yep, that was him. And the person who gets to talk next is... Actually...
That's so offensive.
God damn it. I'm normal. I mean, how lucky is that? But I'm the normal one out of everyone. That sucks!
You're normal? That's a rare thing.
I know, right?
The normal hatter.
I'm not putting that on my resume. You
The
can't.
funny normie. The funny normie.
That's pretty oxymoronic.
Yeah.
You can't have a funny normie.
Damn.
Yeah, just make. I can't make it an oxymoron anyway because it will be too funny.
So tell us about Phase 4.
So the best way I can describe Phase 4 from my experience in one word summed up together is disappointing. Because there were a lot of projects I was looking forward to, which it seemed like to me that the studio itself, being Marvel Studios, didn't collaborate well enough, and to where I do agree with Kane on to some extent that Phase 4 was supposed to be about grief. I don't think they delivered well on it because there are definitely some areas to where it touches on that, such as WandaVision and Doctor Strange. But it seemed like everything else wasn't trying to be grieving, which I'm glad that not every single one was about grief, not every single project. It's just that it just seemed very directionless. Because from what I understand, Kevin Feige was saying like, okay, since we're done with phases, we're not going to do phases anymore. If I'm wrong about that, correct me later. But if that was the case, like that's not how you want to go about a franchise. You want to continuously build up something because like that works.
Like they
with
built themselves on having phases.
Yeah, they built themselves on having phases, and it works because you're building up to something with a big payoff. Now, this usually, if you just want to spin off and do whatever you want, this works like with comic books because you have a whole bunch of different characters going off into their own adventures with different genres that may not ever tie into something big. It's usually better if you do tie it into something like, say, like with the main Avengers going off in their own Avengers and then coming back for an Avengers comic book, but that's something that you'll be able to get away with more with comic books because not everybody's paying attention to comic books. With movies, and you have big names, and you are purposely selecting big names to be on the big screen for your product, you have to make sure that there's a build-up for something. And I feel like that they just did not deliver with that. They tried making Black Panther Wakanda Forever their finale for Phase 4, or maybe, I don't know, maybe Guardians of the Galaxy would do that. But it seems like they were trying to make Black Panther a big finale, but that's a solo movie.
It is. But the movie was good, but it didn't feel like a finale.
Yeah, it did not at all feel like a finale, whatsoever.
Well, I mean, like, they do have like final like big movies, but like the final movie of Phase 2 is just it, man. So,
yeah, same thing with Phase 3. It ended with
that's true.
Spider-Man. Like it did not end with Avengers.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I count that more as like an epilogue.
Yeah,
Like,
people say that,
yeah,
but like
because
Kevin Feige
it's
still
more
said
like
it's the end of Phase 3.
I know, and which is dumb because that should have just been like the start of Phase 3. Because fucking Black Widow, seriously, you're gonna start off Phase 4 with a character that's already dead. Come on, seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like Spider-Man Far From Home is kind of more like a tease of things that are to come because like they mentioned the multiverse, like, oh, will they, won't they? Is like, yeah, that's great. But with Phase 4 specifically, like I said, it just felt very directionless. Not just by the continuity of the projects that are together, but it just seems like the creative teams themselves did not come together to talk about their continuity whatsoever. It's like what Kane was bringing up about like Eternals, to where there's a Celestial that's coming out of the planet that would have killed the entire planet itself if it came into fruition, but it's now stuck there, but nobody acknowledges it. I mean, like, you're purposely making these movies to where they're to have some continuity, some consistent continuity, and you're not even addressing major planet life-changing events, and you're just treating it like it's like a regular Tuesday, which is not something you want to do if you want something that's all connected to one another. It's like
I mean, I kind of get if it's like the whole, it's an every other Tuesday because this is a universe that deals with, aliens and like superheroes and like all this stuff. But you kind of have to, point the elephant out of the room to be like, hey, this thing happened. Why are people not talking about this on the sides in your movies?
Mm-hmm. And it there are like examples to where they can like do it pretty well. Like probably my favorite thing that Phase 4 has given me was Werewolf by Night, because the setting for it was, it felt realistic because it was grounded in, like, if you were to tell me that Werewolf by Night was not connected to the MCU besides like the picture of like the Avengers like in the beginning, I would have completely believed you, because it's about monsters, a secret society of hunters hunting monsters, and they don't want to draw attention to themselves, especially what's his name? Jack Russell, since he's a monster. He's a werewolf, and he doesn't want to be discovered. Man-Thing does not want to be discovered. So that makes sense to me when you have like big events like that, to where you could hide and stash that away, and not too many people will find out about that. But when you have big altering events like in Eternals,
I mean, they also were secret
giants
too,
coming out of the ground, and it's stuck.
They were hiding for millennia.
Well, yeah, but like it only gets brought up later in fucking She-Hulk, to where like it says like in an article, like there's a Celestial coming out of the ground. There are people that are like going on tours to go see it. Like you have big events like Eternals. You have big events like Spider-Man No Way Home, to where the sky is turning fucking purple and there are people coming out of it, and then Doctor Strange is just putting it together, and Spider-Man is like broadcasting himself on like the new Statue of Liberty that's gonna have like the Captain America shield. You have
that was such a stupid idea. I'm so glad they didn't do that, because when I saw in the movie that they were adding Captain America's shield to the Statue of Liberty, I was like, really? That's too much. Even Steve Rogers wouldn't like that, and he served in World War II.
I mean, that's why they set that up, only to destroy it. So.
Yeah, which good thing they did.
And one of the things that makes it feel really inconsistent for me is that we see two secret societies in this phase. One to where there's in Black Widow, to where there's basically Russian Harvey Weinstein making like super soldier girls that are like taking over the world. Yet you have on the side the Mandarin, the real Mandarin this time, who has already taken over the world like thousands of years ago because he's immortal. Is like, how is it that these two secret societies that are like have taken over everything, how is it that these two can exist when they're purposely trying to conquer the world? It's like, that makes no sense to me whatsoever. Especially I don't know which one seems more unbelievable to me, but you have to have a secret society to where, like, if you want one that's a little bit more exposed than the other, you have to make the other one more secretive, or to where like maybe like a Russian Harvey Weinstein is afraid of the Mandarin, so he doesn't get too into his affairs. Or maybe it's like the other way around. They never explain that. So it just seems like they just happen to exist, along with Hydra, that's been hiding inside S.H.I.E.L.D. this entire time, which is another secret society. Is like, what the hell is going on here? It's like who
Hydra
is really in control?
Like, Hydra made sense because
they were
obviously
connected
it
to
was
the
in the
Red
first
Room
Captain America movie, but even Hydra was like, you know, they were the only secret society, but it was like, you know, they made sense. You know, they were always that one secret society that's like, oh, they're still around regardless of how many times you beat them. But now you have these other two, and it's like, okay, who's the real threat here? Is Hydra still the real threat, or are they all a threat? Like, what is this?
Yeah, you watch AOS for how they deal with those guys. So
yeah, but the thing is, like, if you have something like as big as S.H.I.E.L.D. and it's secretly Hydra, Hydra and S.H.I.E.L.D. would be very much against, like, say, like the Red Room or the Mandarin, because these secret societies would conflict with their better interests, especially Hydra. How is it that they know everything, but they don't know where the Red Room is, even though they've already done missions on taking down the Red Room, but it's just fucking in the sky that you can't like make machines to detect things that are in the sky? Or with the Mandarin, like, you know where he's at, but you don't do anything about it. And you already have another like terrorist organization that says that they're a terrorist organization, that they have no idea who they're supposed to be, but they're still out there and they're able to get away with things, even though I understand that S.H.I.E.L.D. was being taken down, but fucking Nick Fury was still in operation. Like, when S.H.I.E.L.D. was taken down, he's like, no, I'm getting back to work. Like, as if like S.H.I.E.L.D. never went away. So it just seems like the entire studio didn't talk to one another about any form of consistency whatsoever. Now, I would understand better if these properties weren't connected to each other and it's like they're just like their own universe, but that's not the case. You have to make sure that every single character that's interacting with each other or are coming to interact with each other are in a consistent world to where it's not shooting itself in the foot. It's not counterproductive. It's not contradicting itself. But the most disappointing thing about this phase for me is mainly the writing for these characters, because although all of these movies are supposed to be solo movies, and then a lot of them, it just seems like they're just trying to cram the next thing in there. With Doctor Strange, they're cramming in
America Chavez.
America Chavez, but I kid you not, I've seen the movie like 3 times. She has no character arc. I mean,
nope.
I wasn't a big fan of America Chavez when I read her in the comics, but Marvel Studios had already done the impossible by making me fall in love with Captain America. Like, I thought Captain America was a dumb character when he first came out, but as the movies progressed, I fell in love with him. I wanted to see more of this Captain America. I want them to do the same thing with Captain America. I want to fall in love with these characters. I want to fall in love with America Chavez. I want to fall in love with Miss Marvel. I want to fall in love with She-Hulk. I want to fall in love with every single person that they put on the screen. But you have to have character. They can't be mascots. Throughout the entire time, I don't know what America Chavez wants. Throughout the entire time of Black Panther Wakanda, Wakanda Forever, they add an Ironheart, which I really don't like. I never really liked her reading her in the comics, but I don't know what she wants. She ends up basically getting kidnapped for her safety, and then just ends up deciding to join the war with Wakanda to find off against Talakan.
I mean, like, she was a cool side character, but yeah, like you said, I'm not, like, invested. It's not a, like, oh, she, like, grabs my attention, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like I feel that Spider-Man No Way Home did it best because these characters are sent back home. And like the ones that we're focusing on were already introduced and they've already seen their wants. Doctor Strange has to make sure that everything is going right in their reality. That's his job. It's been established in the first movie. Spider-Man wants to get into college, but he keeps fucking up because he's a kid, and so he takes responsibility in the end of making sure that everyone's safe, and then the price he has to pay is he has to be his own man. That's an arc. But they don't have anything for the rest of these guys. They mention ideas for an arc, like say with Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, that I like the idea of characters asking Strange, like, Steven, are you happy? Are you happy? They don't really touch upon it. They just bring it up, but it's not really resolved. And with Thor, they try making him, in Thor Love and Thunder, they have him open his heart back up to love, but we've already seen that already. And this time, it just doesn't really get resolved. He just decides to take responsibility of an enemy that he fought because he was just asked to. And with
the thing that disappointed me about Thor, though, was like I was really expecting that with Jane Foster to be introduced, which I thought Jane Foster's Thor. I love that version of the character. I think it's cool. I thought what was going to happen was in Thor: Love and Thunder, maybe Thor was going to sacrifice himself to save Jane, and Jane would go on to be the new Thor of the new Avengers. But in the end, Jane Foster dies of cancer. Like, she just dies in the movie. And I'm like, wait, you just introduced her. Like, what?
Considering that
Yeah, she gets to be her version of Thor in Thor Love and Thunder, and everybody was hyping it up for the entire, like, lead up to this movie. And then at the end, she does really good in the movie, all things considered, but at the end of the film, she still dies and Thor is still the only Thor. And I was like, wait, if there was a way to send off Chris Hemsworth's character, it would be let Jane take over instead of...
Well, it sucks now because Chris Hemsworth just said he's stepping away from acting. So they're probably sitting there going like...
Yeah. Oh, no. So the reason why Chris Hemsworth is stepping away from acting, because it was actually revealed in a documentary series that he's making about him and his family. He went to a doctor, and it turns out Chris Hemsworth has Alzheimer's disease.
It's like
the first stage.
He has a predisposition, so he could. he's very
so-
likely to have it later in
He's
life.
8 to 10 times more likely to catch it, so which means that if he does get it, it probably will not end very well for him, which sucks because he's he's one of those few actors in Hollywood that I think everybody unanimously can be like, oh yeah, he's like, everybody loves him. Like,
Yeah.
He loves his role as Thor, and it shows like in the movies.
yeah, he has a lot of love for the character.
Yeah, he's an amazing actor. That makes me so sad that he is so susceptible to Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
That is really, really awful. I know, like, I've had family members who caught it, like, not caught as in, like, it's viral.
But it developed,
but-
yeah.
Yeah, they developed it at an earlier age, like, earlier than usual, like in their 50s, which is really young to have it. And it's so devastating. Yeah, so I really feel for him, and that makes total sense that he'd want to step away from acting.
I had a family member of mine years and years ago when I was really, really young, and she contracted it, and she dealt with it for I think 15 years before she eventually passed away of old age. But I remember being a kid, having to sit down and talk with her, and I remember one time specifically, and this was one of the biggest ones that showed me what Alzheimer's or dementia was like. It was during my spring break for middle school, and it was during a weekday, and because I was supposed to be at school, she would constantly ask me, "Hey, aren't you supposed to be in school?" And I was like, "No, great grandma, I'm on spring break. I'm off for the week." Oh, and then it would repeat like the next 5 minutes.
Yeah,
like it's so sad because it was just like, I didn't realize what that disease is truly like until I saw that. And I was like, now knowing that that's potentially what Chris Hemsworth is going to deal with in the future, like, I don't feel just bad for him. I feel bad for his wife and his kids. Because his kids are really... I think he's got 3.
Oh,
I think he has 3, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, that's so sad.
And they're young too. They're not in high school yet. Like, they're still in middle school.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So that I know that's going to be difficult for him in the future.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that he I don't think he's like retiring. I think he's just taking some time to like ground himself. Yeah.
It was said that he was like looking to focus more on his health first. So it's
he probably wants
to
come
back.
Yeah. It's just to bring it back. Like, I'm sure there's some Marvel. I mean, of course, like, his health is what's most important, but there's probably some Marvel exec who's like kicking themselves because they're like, absolutely. No, we just killed. They have to bring in Eric Masterson. It's the only option. It's the only option now. We got to bring in Thunderstrike, baby.
Oh boy.
No. You know what they should do? No, you know what they should do for Thor? Because they teased this in Thor Ragnarok, and I even told Hatter about this, that they should do this. If they're going to do a new Thor, I want Beta Ray Bill.
Beta Ray Bill.
Well, that'd be cool.
Give me Beta Ray Bill as Thor for the MCU. I want Beta Ray Bill.
I'm going to hard disagree for one issue I've always had with the MCU. I think they should bring in somebody like Jake Olsen from the 90s, and like, but do it straight. Because originally, like in the 90s comics, like Jake Olsen, that was a whole complicated thing. Don't make it complicated. Just make it be like a paramedic who gets access to Mjolnir and becomes the new Thor. And the reason I think they should do that instead of Beta Ray Bill is awesome. But first of all, Beta Ray Bill is Beta Ray Bill. He's his own character. He's not Thor. He doesn't need to be Thor because he's fucking Beta Ray Bill. But also, I think one thing that's always been a problem with the MCU from the very beginning, MCU is too much like DC in that these are gods. These are... I've always had an uphill battle with the MCU. I've never liked much of the MCU past the first few movies because it's not the things I like about Marvel. What I like about Marvel is that they're normal people. These are people with real problems, living real lives. And like the overwhelming majority of characters in the MCU are like super cops, like with no real problems, like not living normal lives. They're celebrities with unlimited resources, like basically going out and like fucking like almost like fascistically like imposing their will on the world, you know, like it's so but so you could just do a slight retooling of somebody like Jake Olsen, and you could just, instead of having it be some weird convoluted like serial killer turned good guy weird shit thing like they did in the 90s, or not serial killer, I think he was like a thief or something, but whatever. But you could just do like, he's just a paramedic. He's a good guy who finds Mjolnir, and because he's a good-hearted person, Mjolnir is like, I give you power! And now we can actually have, like, a regular dude perspective, which we barely have in the MCU.
That's what I was saying earlier about the Sony Andrew Garfield movies, where it starts out...
The best ones.
Because Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man was really grounded, because it was a more realistic take on Spider-Man. But that's what made it. That's what made it so good.
That's actually Peter Parker. That's actually Peter Parker, though, too. And except for idiots who don't understand that, because they don't understand Spider-Man or modernization.
Like I tell people this all the time, of all the Spider-Man that I've seen, and I love all of them. To me, Andrew Garfield's probably the most comic book accurate Spider-Man or Peter Parker you're ever going to get.
No,
oh, really?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's a good one. Yeah, no.
Yeah, I was curious.
For an older Peter Parker, for sure, but I don't think any beyond that.
True.
Peter Parker is a 30-year-old man, goddammit, and has been for the holy shit.
Like, I know in those movies, everyone looks a lot older than high school.
I don't understand why Hollywood does that. Hollywood has this thing where when they do characters in high school, they cast people who are like 28, 30. Yeah. I'm like, why?
Union
rules?
Yeah, you can't have
Yeah, I've had experience in that field. If that works in the filming.
If they're under 18, they can't work them for as long, and they're incredibly difficult to shoot around.
And that makes sense. Yeah, child labor laws, and I understand how adults also, like, even though yes, there's some absolutely fantastic, super talented child actors.
Most of them suck.
No, it's just easier to work with adults overall, because we're adults. They're more...
Right. But I'm sorry, Charlotte, you were saying something about the Thor thing, like you were talking about normal people or something earlier. Like I had said that, and you were like, "Yeah, I'd been saying something like that earlier," and then we got kind of sidetracked.
Oh, thanks. No, you're totally good. I love that you bring that up. I'm taking an art history class right now, and I know at some point we have a Marvel unit. No, I'm kidding. Marvel unit in art history.
I was about to say I doubt that.
I know we've all learned about Greek culture at some point in school.
Yes.
But covering the artwork and then also the values that kind of artwork was reflected on, because of course, every society's culture is a reflection of their own values and morals, and what they believe in, what they like, that sort of thing. And when I went over the Greek culture and the way their sculpting morphed, like because they sculpted so realistically, but they also did it for specific purposes, because especially before that, throughout history, all artwork that was done had to be done a super specific way, not because they weren't artistically talented enough, say, to draw people in proportion or things like that. Like ancient societies like Egyptians, they were amazing at drawing realistic people, but it was because of their religion that they would draw people a certain way. So anyway, there was always a reason to depict people a certain way in art in different cultures. And Greek culture, going over it, it just reminded me so much of our modern day popular culture. And I thought Marvel was an example of that. And I know this sounds like a diss on Marvel. I'm only criticizing, certain parts of it. I don't mean to criticize, the creativity and the awesomeness, that comes from these stories, but mainly just how they portray men and women and stuff. I am not at all saying like, it's wrong to have a strong man be a hero. That's absolutely not true. That's a wonderful thing. We want men who are strong in our society. That's good, But like you guys were saying a little earlier, there's also the moral strength, and kind of like how that was present in the Spider-Man movies, him starting out very humbly, living, with his aunt and uncle, and then seeing his uncle pass away, and he's getting bullied at school, and all these different things, and he has to struggle with what is right and wrong, what does it mean to be a hero, all of those things. And I just feel like the Greek culture, I've always had, I know there are a lot of people who really, really like Greek culture, especially with Percy Jackson and stuff. I'm sure those books are awesome. I mean, I never read them, but I'm sure they're awesome.
My wife loves them.
Boy.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, no, and nothing against those. I just know like people really like the culture, which I mean that's awesome. But the statues, the Greek culture itself. I don't mean the cool books made about them for kids or whatever. I always had a bone to pick with Greek culture. It's super fascinating to learn about. I love learning about it. It's wonderful. But I always had a bone to pick with it because these gods and goddesses and creatures who are part of the pantheon that the Greek people worshipped and stuff, they were these horrible examples.
They were all a bunch of dicks.
Exactly. They were completely amoral. They had no moral standard.
Literally, the entire mythology of Greece can be summed up to Zeus screwing up everything because he wants to screw everything.
Yeah, what's the Tumblr meme? Like, don't put your dick in it. I already did. Like, yeah.
Like it's even funnier when you realize that the video games God of War that have Kratos as the main hero, that you find out that God of War is the most accurate depiction of the Greek gods. Literally, if you want to know what the Greek gods were like in their actual stories, play the God of War video games. Literally.
Kratos did nothing wrong.
Kratos was justified because the entire Greek gods are just so straight up horrible.
I always had a bone to pick with mythology just because these were figures that represented the worst thing a human could be. A rapist, unfaithful,
there's so many atrocities.
Full of bloodlust, all those things. These gods and goddesses were always depicted as so childish and childlike, and there was nothing mature about them. And the Greek people were just supposed to, cower before them. And then also they were depicted as so muscular in a supernatural way that the average human would never achieve. Really, that's what the point of it was. They were muscular to the point where a normal human could never achieve
unattainable.
And Greeks.
Like back in their day, like Hercules was so praised back then. He was basically their Superman.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, except I'm certain that Superman. I mean, I know he has. I don't mean like modern Superman. I don't know about that, but classic Superman. Very moral, very morally upright. But I feel like today, worldliness with like lust and a lot of violence and then having a very worldly personal life has seeped so much into the character biographies of these superheroes that to me they've become just like Greek gods and goddesses, just not a whole lot to look up to.
They become very out of touch of what the characters used to be, because Superman used to be he's an alien from another planet, but he was basically born and raised on Earth, so that technically makes him a human being. And not to mention, a lot of people get this wrong about Superman, is that Superman, the reason why he's such a good, kind-hearted guy is not because, that's who he was naturally born as. No, that's how he was raised. He was a being he's basically a being with godlike powers who was raised by a traditional farm family,
and they
taught him that, hey, just because you have these powers doesn't mean you should do what you think is right. You should do what is right for others. You should inspire people to be the best version of themselves they can be, because in return, that will make your life better. And it's true, because that's why Superman is considered one of the greatest superheroes in pop culture, because he inspires others to be the best version of themselves, because that's what he has to do every single day. Literally, he could go up to a building and flick his finger and literally collapse the whole building, but he knows that he can't do it because he doesn't want to hurt anybody, because he's just a kind-hearted man. And that's a lot of stuff that a lot of our superheroes nowadays have kind of forgotten is their moral or what they were originally intended to be.
Oh, I completely agree.
Well, not just that, but also, but Superman, what makes him Superman is that he's setting an example. And he has to watch himself.
Exactly. That's what superheroes should be. They used to be all about setting a good example. Even if Superman does have an extremely buff body that humans probably couldn't attain. That's one thing. But there wasn't so much detail on that in the original comics. Yes, the comic book style was very detailed. But you know what I mean.
But he was just a guy in a suit and a cape. That's all he was.
I think it's more about the problem, quote unquote problem, with the aspirational idea, and the counter argument I hear all the time is that but you can't be like Superman because he has literal godlike powers. And I think what I've come to appreciate as I've gotten older is that
he never.
No, but that's not the point.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly.
More about the kind of person he is and his intentions. Is that what you're saying?
It's like
wise words.
It's because Superman
is what he can do, but Clark Kent is who he is. Yeah.
Clark Kent is who he is. Yeah. It's because he has these powers, he's able to do more. But he would still be doing his absolute best even without them, and has many times in the comics. So.
There's a famous quote that I heard Superman say once. I don't know if it was from a comic or one of the video games, but it was the one where he was talking about, despite having his powers, at the end of the day, anyone can be a Superman. Mm-hmm. Anyone can be good, but you just have to be willing to do it. You have to put others before yourself.
Do you want to know, this actually comes back to, do you want to know what I think actually one of the biggest and most sinister problems with the MCU in general is? One of the reasons I hated the movies by and large forever. Think back, not just to the problems with the current phase, such as it is, but think about the entire franchise as a whole. Really think. I might be about to blow some of y'all minds. How many people have you seen them save?
Not really.
How many people have you seen them actually? How many people have you seen them actually?
Yeah, that's what I've been thinking for years. There's nothing personable about their
Exactly. They don't do shit. Granted, they stop threats. They fight the bad guy, and the bad guy was going to do bad shit. Sure.
Thank you for saying that. That's what I've been thinking for the longest time. It's just not personable.
In Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, there's many scenes across both movies where he's fighting a bad guy, and then he's like, oh shit, and has to divert and save a bunch of people. I always think back to that first fight scene with Electro, where he is aware of all those people that are about to fucking die, and he has to in a split second with his super math brain go like, oh shit, throw a web line here, grab this guy, okay, let's go, and save like a dozen people.
Real struggle being a hero.
Yeah, I've already lost
That's
count
what
of
superheroes are
phase
supposed to
one.
be. And it
Yeah.
never fucking happens. They just, yeah. Do you know what? One of the most heroic moments in the MCU, if it's even in the MCU, and it was always fucking nebulous, fucking Daredevil, season 1, episode 2. Motherfucker, like, walks through a whole fucking gauntlet of Russian gangsters to carry out a little kid.
boy.
Or the only time I remember in the MCU when they actually saved people was during Age of Ultron, where they're trying to evacuate. They're trying to evacuate all these people off of Sokovia because the city is flying.
And by the way, that was a problem they fucking
Which
caused.
led into the conflict of the next movie.
Conflict
of the next movie. So.
Yeah, I have seen Age of Ultron, so I do know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but that barely counts because they caused that problem in the first place. That's not altruism. That's cleaning up their mess.
The one
for bringing that up, yeah, I think that's.
Say again, Chris.
Well, real quick, I think like the only thing that I can think of in Phase 4 to where anybody does anything like that to where it's not their fault is probably in No Way Home when Spider-Man catches like the person he's talking to about MIT because Doc Ock is on the bridge.
Yeah,
and like he's just tossing cars like nothing, and he's
what
like,
what are you talking about? Who brought Doc Ock here?
Or when, or like
never mind.
Peter's
or like in.
It's a real problem. Like, it's a huge problem. I fucking hate that shit, and it's been bothering me for so. It's why I'm always telling people like I can be a real prick about it. I'm like, I don't care about the movies. Read the comics, and they get so mad, and I understand why they get mad. But I'm like, I just don't care. I just don't care. Read the book. Read the book.
I know storytelling is just so much more vibrant and
it's
meaningful.
it's like night and day when it comes to like the storytelling in the comics.
When you read, but. The type of character I wish they would get right straight from the comic books is Batman, because even though there have been a couple of good Batman movies, I kid you not, if you read a Batman comic like the ones that they make nowadays, Batman is not always dark and brooding. He literally has a family of orphans that are all his sidekicks, and all they do, and they look after each other. They help each other. And but they never address this in the movies.
And all the casual fanboys are always making all the same dumb criticisms that they think are hot takes about Batman, and they're so uninformed. You know, if Batman really cared, why doesn't he spend all his money helping Gotham? You mean like he does? You mean like he does?
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne is a good billionaire. That's why he's fictional.
People don't understand. People don't understand about People don't understand about Batman, especially his villains, is that Batman in DC Comics is considered one of the smartest people in the entire DC universe.
He's
probably
top three at most.
The problem.
I've always said that Batman.
The problem is the villains that he. The problem is the villains that Batman fights are almost just as brilliant as he is. Like, think about this. How many times has he locked Joker in Arkham Asylum, in Blackgate, or any other prison whatsoever? And Joker always escaped. You know why? Because Joker is a master escape artist. It's not fucking
Kane,
rocket science.
It's Batman's fault because he won't kill the Joker.
I hate that.
I mean, he is,
in love with the Joker. It's all Batman's fault.
So everyone talks about.
He's not. By the way, real quick, no. Shut up. You're actually wrong. He's not in love with the Joker. That is all derivative. That is all derivative. I'm so tired of this. I still love you, but you're just wrong. And I'm going to announce to the world why you're wrong. There's one line. There's one line in The Dark Knight Returns, which, by the way, its canonicity is suspect at best. There's one line in The Dark Knight Returns where Joker says, "Darling." Joker has some weird psychosexual obsession with the Joker. That has been pretty consistently proven out. There's been nothing in over 60 years of continuity to suggest that Batman is in love with the Joker. That is something that people who hate Batman say because they want an excuse to crap on the character.
Or because they saw a Lego Batman movie and they're like,
which came from the same dipshits that say the dumb shit about Batman, by the way. Like, that movie was informed by that meme that comes from people that don't read comic books and don't have critical fucking reading skill.
I mean, me and Hatter talked about this when the Zack Snyder Justice League movie came out, when they had the extended scene where you had Ben Affleck's Batman and Jared Leto's Joker were talking to each other. And even me and Hatter were kind of creeped out at the Joker talking to Batman saying, besides, I'm your best friend. Without me, who's there to give you a reach around? And I'm like, that was so unnecessary.
Yeah,
why was that line in there?
Even make sense.
Again, it's just like the unnecessary over-sexualization of these characters that encourages fans to be more rampant about, oh my gosh, sexual tension, Joker and it's like,
I mean,
it's
they
like
do
all
for
the bad
sure
things,
have that.
you know,
but it's not the case of
and they
love.
would
It's more
anyway. They would
complicated.
anyway, but
It's not the case of.
No,
Well-
there's no sexual.
well,
there's no sexual tension between Batman and the Joker.
Right,
That's
right.
higher
Well,
manufacturing.
right.
Well,
yeah.
in the DCEU,
Well, that
I
one,
mean, since
he
that
has
Batman
not
does
have the
has
like
killed
Jared
people
Leto
in
and
Batman,
Ben Affleck wishes that they do, but Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy, like, come on, they definitely do.
Yeah.
well, so considering that in the DCEU that Ben Affleck's Batman did kill people in Dawn of Justice. I mean, I guess you could make the argument that he is in love with the Joker at some extent because he hasn't killed him, but he has definitely killed other people. But besides that, I'm gonna bring it back because we have gotten way off topic, and I'm way past my talking point. So yeah, not to be rude, but you guys ate up a lot of my talk time. Thanks, guys. I'm gonna cry now.
We had interesting things to talk about it. You're welcome for the content.
Content. So I'll say this real quick before I head off to the wheel as my closing statement. Marvel Studios, collaborate, talk to each other. A story comes first in the writing room. Story comes first. Don't act on product first. And also, Jessica Gao, fuck yourself. Don't make a show that's looking to troll the trolls. Make a story first, you bitch. All right, besides that, I'm going to go back to the wheel.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, she's also a hack. Enjoy your Pickle Rick legacy.
Oh my gosh! Wait! Which show did she write, or which
She-Hulk.
show is she?
She-Hulk.
Oh my
But she was
gosh.
responsible for like the Pickle Rick episode, from what I understand. So.
Oh, she is. I don't even like Rick and Morty. It's so nihilistic. It's so like life has absolutely no meaning. You know.
Only thing I remember from Rick and Morty is Morty, we gotta go on an adventure. It's time to go on an adventure, Morty. We gotta go on an adventure. That's it. That's all it is.
Yeah, my younger brother loves it a ton, and like that's fine, but.
I mean, there's a lot of adolescent humor in there anyway. I mean, there's some really smart jokes, but there's a lot of adolescent humor that's usually based on shock humor. But so I can see why.
Yeah, it's shock humor. I hate shock humor, and Marvel is more obsessed with that today too. I think.
I could agree that to a certain extent. But anyway, the person who gets to talk next is Joseph. Yay! Everyone look at him. I may have to leave in a couple of minutes, but so I'm going to put 20 minutes on the board for Joseph, and by that time I'll probably have to disappear. And then Christopher, you'll be the co-host, and you'll take over and tell people when to come on.
I might do my spiel and then bounce anyway because I really need to eat. I like woke up and went, oh god, I'm late.
The podcast.
I'm the same way. That's exactly what I did.
I am so sorry. I have to go in a sec just because I am renting out a conference room on campus and someone else needs it, and I also need to go take an exam. So.
No worries. Thanks for joining us. That's awesome.
Oh my gosh! Thank you for joining us. Having me. This has been so much fun, and thanks for just listening to all my rambling. It's been
This episode was sort of was the rant.
It's very interesting.
We have plenty of them on the archive.
Oh well, I look forward to editing it. I usually sound like I'm 5, so I'm gonna like turn the pitch all the way down, so I at least.
Don't worry, don't sound.
6-year-old Batman.
We'd hope anyway for a child labor law commentary.
I absolutely despise that little shit. I despise that little fucker.
You keep winning with all these correct opinions about comic books. Goddamn.
Like, I can't stand Damian Wayne. He's the one character in comic books I would absolutely drop kick him.
So let me just make my
very
pitch
valid.
here. So all I really want to say, because I've only seen about half of Phase 4. I've been kind of like always paying attention to what's going on, but I fell out of love with Marvel movies after Phase 1, and I would watch
hold
them,
on real
like,
quick. Charlotte, you say you have to go like right now?
Oh,
Yeah, I have
right
to
now?
go. I have to go right now. Yeah.
Okay, everybody say bye.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Bye, Charlotte.
Thanks for joining
Bye.
us.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks,
Yeah,
man.
thank you guys so much for having
Very
me.
well,
Thanks,
very
Funny
well.
Of
Hatter.
course.
Yay, it's been fun. I know I was gonna like do that little advertising thing at the end, but I mean, it's okay.
We'll do it later anyway.
We'll put links in the bio.
Yeah, don't worry about it. You
Okay.
gotta remember.
All right. Good luck with the rest of the podcast.
all right.
Oh, thanks.
All right. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Just
go.
Phase 4 sucks. No, no, no.
I don't disagree.
Yeah, no, I fucking hate Marvel movies. I did just read the comics. That's my pitch. Fucking the whole thing is garbage after the first few movies. Just forget it all. It's the worst Spider-Man ever. Worst Hulk ever. It's garbage. If you want to see Hulk, just watch the first season of the '90s cartoon. No.
I love
In any
it.
case, no, it's so good. It's so fucking good. But anyway, I think because I've actually brought up a couple of my biggest problems like throughout this podcast episode. There's also the and I know we're talking about a Phase 4 specifically. I'm gonna bring it back. This is all to a larger point about Phase 4. So I've talked about the fact that I don't think that we really have heroes in the MCU, especially after the first few movies. I've talked about the fact that many of us have said that it's like not building up to anything. So there's like no stakes, there's no cohesion. So that's a problem. And also, my other biggest issue is the humor, right? Before Avengers, it was not really a problem.
I
They brought
can't
in-
stand the humor.
They brought in Whedon. This was not a problem before Avengers, the first
And
Avengers
so
film. They
you
brought in
started writing.
Whedon, and then they're like, let's just do that every fucking time, regardless of the characters. And now it's almost impossible to have a poignant moment in a fucking Marvel movie.
Well, yeah,
without
because like
somebody
now
cutting
everybody
the
has
tension with a joke.
everybody has like the personality of like Tony Stark now. It's like no,
Yeah, which
Don't
it's
do
so
that.
weird.
which ruins the good characterization they brought to Tony Stark in the films. Because now it's not unique. Now everybody's just interchangeable.
Everyone is Tony Stark.
Yeah, it's really bad. I was shocked that when Aunt May died in No Way Home, there was all the sobbing and raging going on. Somebody didn't like pop up and go, at least she can, I don't know, like some joke.
That's
Like,
nobody
nobody pop.
morning.
I was surprised they
Yeah,
even
right.
killed her off. I didn't think they would, to be honest.
Well, because they were trying to. So
They're-
it's funny about the. I
the
want to
Uncle
make my
Ben's
larger point, but before I get there, it's funny because I love Spider-Man, so I have a lot.
What?
Of Spider-Man. It's really
Wait,
fascinating. Yeah, right. Yeah, I wrote that like fucking giant
Who
ass
doesn't?
and now I'm known as the script guy, so now everybody wants me to look at their scripts, and it makes me anyway. No, Layla, if you're listening, you're cool. I don't mind looking at your scripts. But anyway, So I think it's interesting the discourse around MCU Spider-Man. This idea that some people say that they realized that they really kind of wrote themselves into a corner with their Spider-Man. So they were like, oh shit, we need to course correct, and we're just gonna do a reset, There are other people that say this was always the plan, and that all the criticisms about Tom Holland's Spider-Man not really being Spider-Man, like, you guys just didn't realize they were building up to this all along. Both of us can't. No. It was just they just fucking There's
Literally, Tom Holland Spider-Man, even though I would say that he's not terrible, I think he did pretty good, all things considered, with Spider-Man. This is literally all his Spider-Man is right here. Mr. Stark!
Yep. And
That's it. That's literally
so
all
annoying.
he is.
He's so annoying to listen to. His whole performance, like any iteration of Peter Parker, never talked like that.
Nope.
Like,
True.
Never. Oh my god. this is a huge problem that a lot of modern writers in the comics have with Spider-Man, by the way. They don't understand how the humor works. They think that Peter Parker is this, like, fucking bumbling, like, nerd on PCP who can't stop talking. That's not true. It was never true. He was this really smart guy who was really witty, who would, like, verbally assail his opponents because he was trying to hype himself up while keeping them off balance. He could stop anytime he wanted, and he knew how to socialize. Like, but
he was a social
just has this idea that
outcast in a lot of ways
diet
too.
Deadpool.
So it's not like he could turn off to socialize. He could just turn it off and still not socialize.
Yeah. Yeah. No, he did. No, and that's a misnomer too. If you go back and read the thing, once he got out of those, once he went to college,
but like
Peter Parker, like, he got bitten by the thing is, like, he was never like super. He was. If you've met a lot of really smart people, they operate on a different wavelength, so they have a problem connecting with.
Yeah, he was the social outcast that could become the wizard with Peter. You know,
that's exactly
slightly different.
On a different,
really.
Just on a whole other level.
Yeah, exactly. He's like on a different stratosphere. Everyone around him sounds like idiots. So it's really hard for him to connect with them, and they think he's weird. Like now, which is why the Andrew Garfield films were so awesome, because that's more like how Peter would be an outcast today. Somebody that smart would be, everybody be like, that's my new best fucking friend. They would not bully him. You know, he's weird and disconnected because he has, you know, his parents disappeared, you know, and all that other shit. You know, his parents left him. He has abandonment issues. He feels disconnected. He doesn't know how to talk to people. That's why he's an outcast. It's not because he's like so.
Kane,
weird
stop
and
eating
gross
things on the mic.
Blah blah blah. And anyway, in any case, that I didn't mean to go off on the fucking.
Yeah,
I mean, my mic's not picking it up.
Oh, I heard it. I don't know what it was, but I heard it.
Okay.
That was my blanket.
Oh, those are.
I think you need to replace your blanket with
I have a blanket wrapped around
a Dorito.
It's gotten a little crispy.
Yeah, that sounds like a very crunchy blanket.
Well, I have a blanket wrapped around. It's a fuzzy blanket. I think the crunch you're hearing is probably from me leaning in my chair because I have a blanket wrapped around me because I have a fucking flu.
Dorito blanket.
No, I hope you feel better.
We're talking about phase. We're not talking about the Dorito blanket. Let's talk about phase 4.
Yeah. So to bring it to my point, like, I did, got off topic talking about the Spider-Man question, but I think the larger issue is when you take out all these prolific characters and you move on to lesser known counterparts, or you move into when you don't have cohesion to pull things together, when you don't have iconic characters to pull from, when you don't have really gripping stories to compel people and compel stories forward, what you're left with is like just the writing alone. Like you've nothing to lean on, right?
Yeah.
So you have nothing to lean on, so you're just left with the strength of your writing. And I think what Phase 4 shows is that the writing is just bad. So
it's very bad.
It's just really bad. I think I'm like the most progressive person in chat. So like I know like the woke allegations got brought up. I know the woke allegations got brought up, and I, putting my own stuff like, aside, I genuinely don't think that like that's really the problem. I think the problem is like how it's done. Like if you tapped me to write like a super feminist She-Hulk show, I could do it.
Let's do it right now.
Yeah, like I can just like
if you pay me the amount of money that they're paying these people to write these projects, you bet like whatever you want me to make, I'll make it. I may not I don't want to do it, but I'll do it anyway because I want the money.
Well, I mean, She-Hulk has always been She-Hulk. Like for example, though, that's the thing. Like She-Hulk was always like a really like strong feminist character. Always has been. It's just like I think Jessica Gao and company had like a lot of things they wanted to say about the gender divide in or well, I shouldn't say divide, I guess technically, but like like the gender issues in the modern day, and I think that they just did it in such a a very clumsy way.
I
with
think
a
they really
character
missed
that
the
then-
mark on it.
Well, not
Yeah.
just that, but they don't seem to understand double standards.
Well, you're going to get into some dicey areas there, because if you make the allegations about about double standards, then the next logical step is
The
power
real
dynamics,
differences.
and
Yeah.
like it's not
those,
really double
dynamics
standards
in
because
play.
the power dynamics. Yeah. No, I want to be clear. I want to be clear. I'm like the sane leftist, so I don't think it's cool to just like dump.
Well, yeah,
them
it's
in,
pointless,
endlessly.
but
I think that's
also
really
not what they
cool
did.
and
Yeah.
obnoxious, and also not good. Not a lot of not entertaining. But the argument
Yeah,
will come back
which is
from other
old.
people that are less cool than me. That like it doesn't matter because there's less systemic impacts. It's not really an issue. But that's why you can't make that double standards argument. They're not going to listen to you because they don't care, because they don't see it the
absolutely.
same way. But yeah, I think that's the biggest problem with Phase 4 in general, is that they stripped away all those pillars that they could have otherwise leaned on. And now they're just left with this horrible writing.
Yeah.
And it's like, where the fuck do you want to go from here? It's a problem. I don't really have much more to say than that. I just wanted to kind of throw that out there. Like I said, I want these movies to be good, but for me, they never really have been. I really liked Iron Man. I really liked Hulk with Edward Norton, who is infinitely better than fucking Mark Ruffalo.
I
Mark
agree.
Ruffalo
They should have kept Edward Norton as Hulk, but I mean,
Yeah.
Mark Ruffalo is a great actor.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
just terrible in the Marvel movies. Like I really, that same feeling I was talking about with feeling gaslit by Moon Knight. I've kind of always had that problem with the Marvel movies, because people are obsessed with these things, and I'll just be like, I'm glad I grew up on the comics. I don't know what the fuck is what is happening.
I am glad that when it comes to superhero genre, I was raised on video games and the animated side on DC, because at least those two were the gold standard.
Yeah.
Top tier, man. Fuck it, dude. The DC animated universe.
Some of the
is
best.
one of the
If
one of the
DC
greatest things of all time.
If DC could,
Best Batman.
take notes and use their animated shows as the blueprint to make their live action movies, they would
There
make
you
the
go.
money they need right now. But
Yeah.
because they just want to play catch up with Marvel.
This was said in one of the other, I want to say the Obi-Wan podcast. I forgot who said this, but if they did the same thing, like with the animated movies for Star Wars Legends, you have gold.
yeah.
You have
Yes.
gold there. How are you not able to see this?
Yeah. No,
Maybe not
it's-
every
it-
Legend story,
oh,
but yeah,
well, the
that's
Star Wars
sorta good.
thing was super cringe, because much like Jessica Gao coming out and saying like, "Oh, we just didn't know how to write a lawyer show." Did you catch the part where Kathleen Kennedy about a year ago said, "Well, there was no pre-existing story for."
Oh my
I
God!
hated that. I
We
was
have
so
no
mad
source
at that.
material. We have no books. We have no video
We have
games.
no-
we have no
we have
comic
no
books.
plan.
Very true. Very true.
Fucking bitch.
I was that's why I hate Kathleen Kennedy, because it's just like, you had the prime opportunity to make this new trilogy with new characters, a new direction, and it's literally right after the original trilogy.
Oh, yeah.
You were literally given a silver fucking platter of potential to work with, and instead you threw it in the trash because you didn't understand the source material. Like,
Do you know what's it's so sad too, because if you wanted to do like more like and I say this because I mean the woman was literally wearing a shirt that said like the force is
The
female,
force is
right?
female.
Like if
Yeah.
you wanted to do a more like female led direction for Star Wars, like you could have literally done the Thrawn trilogy, even bringing back the original actors and
Yes.
just having the timeline change, and then be like, okay, and then we jump forward in time. And, this is the last movie with the original cast, and then we jump forward in time, and now we do an iteration of all the stuff with the twins, and so on and so forth. And, I mean, shit, Mark Hamill could still make cameos as Luke Skywalker if he wanted to. Like,
he
running
does.
the
I mean,
Academy.
he, he loves being Mark. He loves being Luke Skywalker.
Yeah,
I
love being Mark
worried
Hamill.
for him. It's
You were-
depression.
I hope so.
There's ways that they could have... There's ways they could have iterated on the expanded universe while still doing their own thing. They
Like,
could've-
Look, I'll say this real
Yeah.
quick, and I think it's just because Kathleen Kennedy is just such a narcissist in like the way that she's running things.
She is.
She had the like golden goose of like a strong, independent female character. If you really wanted to play that, you'd use Ahsoka, but she didn't want to do that because she didn't make Ahsoka. She made Rey. Because. That's
if
the character
Rey
that
was
she made.
half the character that Ahsoka was, she would be way more loved.
I know, right? People love Ahsoka. They've been loving it ever since she came out.
That was a straight up lie.
But she decided
I
to.
don't know about that.
But Ahsoka is much more likable than Rey, and the fact that she wanted to make a new. Yeah, the fact that she wanted to make
Ahsoka won out. Ahsoka won out in the end. Rey never did.
She did.
That's
exactly.
the thing.
Yeah,
that's true.
The fact that she wanted to go with a self-insert character, and you can tell that it is because she keeps putting in fucking Galaxy's Edge, like all the stuff that she made for Star Wars. You don't see Darth Vader, you don't see Luke Skywalker, and you don't see Darth Maul or Obi-Wan over at Galaxy's Edge. You see
it's
Rey,
all
Kylo
Disney
Ren.
Star Wars.
Yeah, it's all Disney Star Wars. It's not all Star Wars, it's Disney Star Wars. But anyway, I'm getting off topic.
Devil's advocate, I do think Galaxy's Edge is.
Plus, there's more Disney Star Wars.
It is. It's a pretty neat concept, all things considered, especially with what it's working with.
Like,
yeah, like there's lots of stuff that's dope. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like I remember like I had a friend. I don't talk to him anymore, and honestly, good because he was annoying. But I used to be friends with this guy his name was Jonah, and he had nothing but wrong opinions about media.
Did he get eaten by a whale?
No, he did not. He's a good dude. We just disagree on a lot of stuff fundamentally. But I remember I got into an argument with him where I was talking about, this was years ago. This was like, I think before the third movie in the Disney trilogy came out, where I was saying pretty much the same thing. Like, if they wanted to do all these like strong female characters like Star Wars has, tons of them. And I think they're better written and whatever, we could have iterated on those. Because he was making the argument that Star Wars didn't have strong female representation. And I went, like, look at all this, like, these decades of media. Like, 3
Princess
decades
Leia, Padme Amidala, Mara Jade, Ahsoka Tano. Like, oh my god, there's so much.
A lot of the ones that I mentioned, like, including, like, Ahsoka, for example, he said they didn't count because they weren't in movies. So most people didn't know about them.
Fuck off.
I hate that.
Fuck off, Jonah.
The rage I felt.
That's like saying, Star Killer doesn't count because he's just a video game. He counts to me, god damn it!
Yeah. Star Killer was an awesome character, by the way. Like,
Star Killer
they need to make him canon because the fact that they need to make him and Darth Revan canon because the fact those two.
They literally could because Sam Witwer.
Just put him in there, man. Just Sam in there.
He is Star Killer. Like they literally, if I remember right, they used him for.
He's the player model too.
Yeah. And he's still young enough, I think, to pull it off.
Yeah, he still is in Star Wars as well. So you just bring him in. I'm sure he'd do it. Yeah.
But now Sam Witwer is Darth Maul now. But I mean, which is good. But
well, the thing is about like Sam Witwer is he is like the perfect Star Wars actor because he is in love with Star Wars. He was the one who brought up the fact that in Solo that Darth Maul doesn't have his old saber. He has the one like from Rebels because he loves this stuff. He pays attention to this stuff. He is like the #1 Star Wars nerd. And what sucks is he's hot and I can't be him.
Try hard, man. You could do it.
Like actually, you know what would have been a really do you know what would have been a really good idea for the new Disney trilogy if they wanted to do this? You could have introduced Thrawn. You could have introduced Mara Jade. Hell, you could have thrown Starkiller in there because you could have been like, okay, this is the aftermath of when the Empire fell, so we're going to focus on, the characters that were present during the original trilogy. But because that trilogy war is over, let's like fast forward like what The Mandalorian did. Fast forward 5 years later, and we're going to focus on all the side characters. Like, for example, Luke and Mara Jade can meet each other, and then they can eventually get married like they did in Legends. Leia and Han Solo's children can grow up to be trained as Jedi, and maybe one of them becomes a Sith, just like Kylo Ren and Jason Solo did. Or you could also introduce, say, hey, here's Ahsoka Tano. Hey, here's Starkiller. Why don't have them meet each other? Like that. Like, they had so many opportunities they could have fixed with that, but
It's so weird, by the way, because you just brought it up, and I can't get it out of my head. It's so fucking weird that Kylo Ren's name is Ben. Like, why on
Ben
earth?
Solo.
Why on earth?
Why did she
name their kid
that
after
old guy
Ben
that was there that one time? What's the name after?
No, because Obi-Wan.
That's why the Obi-Wan series exists. That's why the Obi-Wan series exists.
Yep.
To be like, now you understand.
Yeah, you were calling us stupid the entire time. Look who's stupid now.
Yeah.
That's how I felt about the
shitty
Solo.
patched up.
That's how I felt about the Solo movie when they were making the reference about the golden dice in The Last Jedi. So they made the Solo movie, and it's like, hey, remember the golden dice? We really want you to remember the dice. We really want you to feel emotional about the dice. You
remember
the dice?
Star Wars?
Yes.
Literally in the final shot, the dice. Yeah.
Felt more emotion over the fucking knob on the lever in the Mandalorian shit, man. Like,
Dude, yeah.
Yeah, the scene when she pulls the freaking compressor out of the Millennium Falcon, he's like, "What'd you do?" "I bypassed the compressor." Wait, doesn't that mean the ship's supposed to blow up right now?
Yeah, like I don't think that works the way
That's probably not.
Hey, guys, it's the Force.
That's not how the Force works.
All right, I gotta dip because I am starving.
Okay.
So
Thanks for
I
joining
love
us,
you guys. Yeah, no problem.
Thank you for joining us, Joe.
Remind me, Hatter, are you gonna drop a link in chat, or should I just send you a link to my audio? Like, remind me.
I'm gonna make a Google Doc and just drop it off in there.
This?
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Yep. All right.
I'm also gonna head off as well because I gotta get ready for the day. So.
Yeah.
All
All right, guys. I'll try to see you next time. And again, sorry I was late. I set an alarm.
okay.
You're good. Man. You're good. We got some good content out of it anyway, so that's all that matters.
Yep. All right, I'll check you guys next time. All right. Be well.
Right.
Alrighty.
Later, bro.
Have fun. Bye.
Later.
See you.
All right,
Alright.
and with that, my turn to leave as well. Thank you guys so much for having me on, and
Thanks
look
for
forward
being
to the
here.
very next episode.
Yeah, look forward to that.
Already.
That was a very strange
those words,
scream. I think
I take my leave.
Oh, it got him. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry,
it just
I don't
got
have way too
it broke off and it hit his pee-pee.
Damn. Oh.
Yep.
Here we are, the Three Musketeers. That's how it used to be back in the day when it was just us. It's weird.
Sadly, you have to be the Two Musketeers because
Two
I have to leave.
Musketeers. Dang. Alright, it's been fun. Thank you for having us.
I'm
Mr. Hatt.
gonna make a Google Doc right after I get off, and then I'll just have everybody just put in their audio right.
Oh,
there.
I already have the link to the podcast jazz.
Then post it.
I did.
What did
It's
you
in
do?
the
Oh, hey, look,
podcast chat.
there it is. There it is. I found it.
It's,
I found it. Hey guys, I found it. It's okay.
Situation
Okay,
normal.
everybody, nobody panic. Everything's cool. Alrighty, well, thank you guys very much for listening. We'll put more of the Astro Boy stuff in the link in the description below, and be on the lookout for it. I don't know what Charlotte's YouTube name's going to be if she puts it there, so just be on the lookout for that, and keep looking in the description, blah, 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 blah. Thanks for listening, and I now pass on the mic to Victor.
Oh, yeah. Here you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye.
Halfway through,
There
stuck
he
into a
goes.
format.
Yes, in his typical fashion.
Yeah. All right. So now that I have the talking stick, it is in my hands now.
So yeah.
My wording shall be of the hot take corner. You have finally made it, everyone here. So for all watching, this is where I shall deliver the hot takes that you act like there'll be insert gas on the other end of. Is this even the same podcast? Yeah, you never know.
Oh my God. Did I click on the wrong one?
And yeah, starting with this, Phase 4. Phase 4. Starting with this, I was actually more hyped for the products announced during Phase 4 than I was for Phase 5. Well, aside from Ironheart, I was super excited for Ironheart and Armor Wars, which has now been pushed to Phase 6. Yeah, I'll have to wait longer for that. Because I love Iron Man, and I love this legacy so far being set up here. But yeah, for the stuff elsewhere outside of that, like She-Hulk, like Miss Marvel, Moon Knight, Hawkeye, based on the Matt Traction run and actually having him involved. And of course, Spider-Man, which mentioned ad nauseum.
So
episode. And Shang-Chi with the Mandarin, who's also a big Iron Man character as well. Like there's a lot of stuff to look forward to, and Loki, which I did not understand being involved aside from Tom Hiddleston, and still do not to season 2 beyond Kane now. And but I think like a lot of stuff was done like with obligation is probably my only flaw with it. I did not recognize the other stuff that everyone else had their own issues with. I understand and their own Ocean End's opinions, etc., leading to that, but I did not have that personally. Like I think this is a good transition phase for sure, and I think if it was not included in the way it was, it would not have been possible to really lend into Kang. Like, it would just feel way too sudden. Like, it would be like if Thanos just showed up immediately. Like Iron Man 1, like Nick Fury enters from the shadows and then Thanos just turns on the light and is sitting like in Tony's house. And is like ready for a then. It would feel like that sort of sudden motion there, which is why I'm glad that they're instead having Kang be, for one thing, very unique in an introduction of like starting out Phase 5 instead of ending Phase 4. But he's also partially teased Loki in Phase 4, but it wasn't really Kang. So I think that leads into an interesting new way of doing things. Because you don't want each saga to be exactly the same as each other. And I think that is unique. But the flaw of trying to make not every phase and every saga like each other was the fact that this one tried to experiment with the Disney Plus shows. And therefore, there's a lot of overlap. Like, stuff was on top of each other. I nearly missed Werewolf by Night because I was busy with, another show that was still in progress at the same time. And same thing with the films earlier with the shows. Like, things were overlapping to the point where, the fans and the wikis involved with said environments, like, they were, like, having to, rock, paper, scissors, which one is going up on the homepage. Wait, which one's current? This thing is happening, and this thing is happening at the same time. But this thing is also in a week. Like, it was definitely hard to keep track of in that environment. It's so much true, but at the same time, like, it allowed a lot of human elements with those characters, which is what Marvel is all about in, like, weekly storytelling. I just hope next time, we take a little more time with those weeks. It's not just 6 weeks gone by. It's a whole actual television show that anybody can take in and be able to process. And Phase 5 seems to be having that. Daredevil is back to his long-running 10-plus run with the episode number, and same thing with some of the others that are going for different episodic experiences, which I definitely enjoy there. Again, I'm only a hype for certain ones in this case compared to Phase 4, where like a lot of them I was hyped for the concept of them. These ones, it's more like, surprise me, Marvel. Let's see what you can bring in here. Because a lot of them are unique concepts in a way, like that they're making from scratch in a few areas, and some legacy characters from some interesting books that you wouldn't necessarily always consider. As a new success like Echo. Really excited for that one. Ironheart as well. Like Echo had a amazing section of the Daredevil books and Vision Quest. Ironheart is a case of, again, the amazing Iron Man legacy that's developed over the years, but also the fact that every Brian Michael Bendis character works better and becomes a sensation when it's not that character's not worked on by Brian Michael Bendis. When he's gone from there and someone else plays with his toys, and it works out. Miles,
that's fair.
Naomi McDuffie over at DC, and now Riri Williams. So it's a common pattern that is continuing. I feel bad. Sorry, Bendis, if you're watching this podcast, but just keep on making characters for other people to improve after you're gone. It seems it's the convoluted greater good that you're making for the world.
Introduce them, we can work with them.
Yes. And lastly, Thunderbolts. Film-wise, it's just like that is the ultimate culmination of TV connecting with the films from their Disney Plus line, like projects that they've been doing. Because now all the villains are like finally working together in a project, and like since when have the villains ever been focused on in the MCU? That's like their biggest thing.
Ooh. Yeah, exactly. Like even Loki, like his whole arc is like him becoming a hero in a sense. So
this one actually
even Loki isn't really a villain show per se. So
it's
true.
Morally great team, they're not redeemed per se, but they're just like sort of being forced to do this.
Yes.
And I look forward to it. I love a lot of the villains that they chose from past films and a ton of comics that I've read about these different villainous characters. I'm worried about Harrison Ford as General Ross because I feel that'll mostly just be a CGI creation of Red Hulk rather than actually be Harrison Ford, which to be fair is Indiana Jones would be as well. But,
true.
In short, I'm looking forward to the future. Phase 4 being a good stepping stone to that, even if a little rough in the experimental phase.
That's Phase 4 feels like a building off points and like it seems like with the MCU, like it sort of like evolved and was sort of created around these specific characters, so like they're introduced very naturally like into the story.
They have
to like find ways to like where was this? Where were the Eternals?
I don't blame for the struggle,
but I feel like they're doing a pretty good job.
Considering that you have to get creators after the ones that were new being added as the Marvel mechanic of like let's add in this new director in order to bring some fresh life into things. Like, well, now they're old. They've already done like a ton of our projects for us. What are we gonna do now? Now you have to get new directors again. Which,
exactly.
Where do we struggle phase?
But I do.
On that.
Yeah. But we've got a lot of cool people working in this phase, and I do love that. I feel like they've been implementing these characters pretty well. Like, it doesn't feel like they're just like hammered in, but it feels like that they, they have to like sort of reason and explain where they are. And one of the best ways to introduce characters is through other characters too, like say with Ironheart and Wakanda Forever, which I haven't seen, but it's a good way to introduce the character and then expand upon her. And same with like say Echo and Hawkeye, and even earlier with Spider-Man, like introducing him in Civil War. Like there's no reference really. Well, there's references to Spider-Man, but not a lot. Like there's references in Ant-Man and stuff like that. But so it's already sort of doing the groundwork there, laying the groundwork out for Spider-Man. But I think they've been doing a great job and setting up all these ideas. Like the whole, I love that idea of like setting up the Thunderbolts and like before the TV shows were just like kind of there, like Agents of Shield didn't really have any impact on.
Which I think
the MCU
I think ultimately
after
is
like
why
a certain
that
point,
Disney Plus experiment,
the Netflix shows and stuff don't really have any impact.
Obviously, advertised on that degree was that it was going to start affecting things, which is a good idea.
Yeah,
but like take ideas from your old shows too.
It's going to actually do something. Yeah,
I think they're getting there though. Loki is having multiple season routes when it comes to their old TV shows, and Daredevil has the more than 6 episodes route.
Yeah.
The length that actual TV watchers are used to.
Yeah, so just like 6 episodes.
And
that is refreshing.
Yeah, I think with that added perspective, Phase 4 is going to be looked at in the same way Phase 2 was. Because originally back in the day, like, that was the phase that everyone was going, no, this is the worst phase of all time. For like Thor 2 or Iron Man 3.
That is.
And I think that perspective was definitely there, but then like it was looked back on because of hints for later projects that then called back to Phase 2, and they definitely worked on rolling it back, and especially with time travel and Kane the Conqueror. I think they'll take that literally by the time we get later on with this whole business.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That's a great point. That's it seems like we have like Phase 1 is like building up, and then like Phase 2 is the reaction. Like we have like Tony dealing with the PTSD of the Battle of New York and stuff, and how it leads to Age of Ultron and things like that. And like all sort of like the reactionary aftermath of the Avengers is really well done there in Phase 2. So that's just sort of what Phase 4 feels like. That we had Phase 2 was sort of like the interlude as well, that it was building towards the Infinity Saga coming to a close with Thanos and stuff like that, and the Infinity Stones more present than they were in the first phase, and then we have Phase 3, which is the big events and stuff, and then we have Phase 4 as the reaction, and also building towards this multiversal Kane stuff too, and Thunderbolts and all that stuff as well. So it sort of feels like they have like the structure of the MCU currently is sort of as how it has been with big events, reaction, aftermath, building towards big events, and then more
always
big events for the next Avengers movies and stuff like that, and Ant-Man as well. So that's a good comparison. Yeah,
and I think it's just being entered to in a different way than it was previously. But it's still going in the same way, but just with a few more twists in order to stay unpredictable.
Oh, yeah.
And I think finally,
absolutely keep it fresh.
The fact that this isn't really like a perspective of like they can do no wrong. They're like 10 steps ahead of everyone. Like from that perspective of like what people have grown up with on this podcast here when it came to these pieces of media. I grew up with both in terms of my setup with these. Like I had like a whole bunch of Marvel comics and the strangest adventures, and just sort of catching up from there, along with already having at least a few movies in Phase 1 by the time we got to that. So I think with that perspective of the both of them, like the MCU is still going as its own thing, but also with inspiration from material that suits its lore and where it is going, and the arcs for these characters in interesting ways. And the comics and L2 for their own arcs and their own characters in the same way. It's not necessarily a competition. Each one of these is still Iron Man, is still Spider-Man, is still the Hulk, just in their own way. And it'll continue with both their own legacies in both the comics and the media adapting them. And so on and so forth to I think either way, some pretty marvelous fun.
Yeah. Oh yes, I like marvelous fun indeed. Yeah, that's I like that perspective that the MCU sort of takes these characters, these classic characters we know and love, and maybe some new characters we haven't heard of before, some characters that people are unfamiliar with, and make us fall in love with them. And sort of like adapt them to fit the MCU. Like there's certain ideas and like, oh, here's where this character comes into play, and somebody like, oh, here's the perfect avenue to do this. Like do something different with the character, but still have that sort of identity there in place as well. So and yeah, it doesn't like erase the comics or anything. That perhaps like when something becomes the most popular take, it might perhaps like become like sort of they want like comics are sort of a dying thing, unfortunately. So to attract like a bit of larger audience that likes the movies, they're like, oh hey, look, it's just like the movies, like say with the Guardians of the Galaxy, like there's a lot of different various Guardians teams, but it seems like the most popular one is the James Gunn team, if you will. That there's like a new game and stuff that's very James Gunnian, if you will, and it still has its own unique
that kind of angle is probably,
but it definitely feels inspired by that sort of take of the Guardians, which is cool.
And I hope that if they ever continue doing MCU synergy in the future, they take that game, Ames tips, when it comes to doing it. Because you don't want
pretty successful. That's some great stuff there.
That's plenty of people, as we've seen from our team today, do enjoy them in many different angles, and I think that is what should be cherished.
Yeah, that's whatever version people love is great. That I always look at it like, even if this new version is something that a person doesn't like, that there's always other versions and takes too. That's if people don't like the Batman per se, there's always other stuff too. There's the Dark Knight trilogy still exists, and the comics still exist, and the animated series still exists. So there's always things to go back on and watch and enjoy if this isn't the take you're looking for. So and it's the MCU, like it seems like it's going to be going on for quite a while, but I'm sure one day that eventually the MCU will end, and we'll see like maybe a new Iron Man or something like that. Probably not for like at least 10 years.
Doesn't necessarily exist as much as different material of the genre of superhero over time. That's my belief.
Yeah, exactly. That's there's always like so much unique things too. That's there's things sort of like it's sort of like it's like a give and take, a back and forth. So you have like the standard quote unquote like superhero stuff, and then you have like stuff that sort of fights back against that, sort of like with the boys.
The subversion and parody.
It's not like these like
sometimes,
these
but it's not
movies and stuff like that.
People might like the thing.
The boys feels like a
it's sort of like
the counterculture
sort of like Weird Al replacing the music that he parodies. Like, no, that's not a thing. It just exists as well as its own like sort of genre, its own type.
No, it's just their carving out a new space from similarity. Yeah. That's it's funny too, because like it feels like the boys is sort of like poking fun at like the superhero universe.
It is
structures of itself. It's already like it's making its own universe. It's becoming the very thing. It's
which I think they are setting up Silk just that way. When people realize the irony, they can just get in on an actual like superhero universe that isn't made by Garth Ennis.
Oh yes, that's but I think it's it seems like the state of the MCU is pretty solid. That I feel like there are perhaps a few bumps in the road that I was really looking forward to Love and Thunder. I was hoping, like, the way it looked like, of course, like Taika Waititi is going to be comedy based, but I was really hoping that it would like take a dark turn with like with gore and stuff, that it could become like this more thought provoking and darker sort of MCU movie. And it does have its darker and more grounded moments, but it didn't quite. I guess didn't
gore
have
the
a lot
concept,
of, gore the character. That it's not gore as a but it didn't have a lot of that either. the concept. Yeah, that's that was I was really excited for that, so I was a little let down by that because like Gore is like probably my favorite Thor villain outside of Loki, but he's not always like villain. Yeah, it's more complicated than Gore typically. But Gore is still complex as well. But yeah, that was sort of a bump for me, and I did like Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi was cool. I like Eternals a lot as well. When I saw it, I thought it was good. Then I saw it for the second time. I was like, oh, it's all right. But then like the third time I saw it, I really like appreciated it. It's like, all right, actually, like it's not like perfect, but I feel like it does a lot right. That I think that yeah, like watching it a few times honestly really helps. That it's not you're just like Stockholm syndrome, but it's like you start to like see what they're putting down, and like it's actually like it's pretty interesting what they're doing, and it is a challenge, like making a team movie when you don't have like the Avengers have the advantage of having this long history, or not really long history, but just like already setting up all these characters, like even with Hawkeye briefly and Thor, and then Natasha and Iron Man 2. We're already familiar with these versions of the characters, so it's just a matter of putting them together. Both the Eternals, like these are like even still like the Avengers are pretty well known, but the Eternals aren't like super well known.
Yeah,
it's
a challenge that in general. This phase continuous other ones are about introducing a lot of these different characters in different ways, and it is going to be a continued challenge the further you go into the massive world of the Marvel Universe, and how much the public will accept, how much they will make changes to them, and how that will continue going forward. Not to say that it's just all on the fans. Like there are plenty of projects that even I did not like.
Oh yeah.
Like What If wasn't really my favorite as a fan of the What If comics.
Yeah.
For not getting the anthology concept of what if it's about.
That's fair. Yeah.
And same thing with I think
that's true.
Older. Despite I was saying some things I did like, it was just way too short to really process a lot of the arguments that they were making.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's those are the issues that I think really at heart I want to get out there. That the next phase should work on, and keep a lot of stuff that make and this phase charming.
Yeah, I'd say this is a phase that I think works well in certain instances. That there's definitely a lot of good content out there that got released from this phase that I really enjoy. Like I feel like for the majority of this stuff, I enjoyed pretty well. That maybe it wasn't like top tier MCU for me personally, but I still enjoyed a lot of the stories that got told, and the characters we got introduced to were handled quite nicely. Especially like I really liked Miss Marvel. I thought Miss Marvel was quite fun. I was really excited that she was coming into the MCU,
sure.
and I think they did a pretty fair job with her story. Cool stuff there. But that I think. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I think overall, look through what has been achieved, but do not take your accomplishments lightly. This Mary Marvel fortune cookie.
Yeah.
But I'd say that's a total of my points.
Oh yes. Yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah, that's hope for the future. Yeah, that they can take the lessons that they've perhaps learned from Phase 4 and things that maybe didn't quite work out too well, but also like the things that did work out well. Like take the good and the bad and mix them together, and then fix up the stuff that didn't quite work out quite as well. And so so hopefully, Phase 5 is looking pretty bright with all of the really cool projects they have going on. A lot of cool stuff to look forward to. But Phase 4, I think, despite it not, being compared to like Phase 3, Phase 3 was just like so insanely stacked that it was pretty great. Arguably, perhaps the best phase. Potentially, it depends on who you ask, but I feel like there's a lot of great stuff, and there wasn't really like many movies I was like, that was alright. Okay, I thought Captain Marvel was pretty solid, and Ant-Man and the Wasp was pretty fun too. It's like right after Endgame, it felt like a nice like break from right after Infinity War, it felt like a nice like Infinity War was great, but it also was like had the sort of depressing ending, so it was sort of fun seeing a nice lighthearted movie after that. That also ties directly to Endgame, which is really cool. So
for spacing out your projects between Disney Plus TV and film, in the way they did with Ant-Man and the Wasp,
Yeah.
and Captain Marvel between
Yeah, honestly,
Infinity War.
that worked well. Yeah, that was some good stuff. They definitely, yeah, like that was like I guess like the right before like they started just like pumping stuff out at a crazy level. Like right there, that seems like about the perfect like speed of things that I wouldn't even mind just like a few MCU projects a year. Like Star Wars doesn't have. Well, I guess Star Wars is definitely like amping up a little more too, but I don't know. It is this one. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right. Do you have anything else
say
you want to
that.
add?
Yeah, as people I love She-Hulk, unironically.
Yeah, I honestly liked it too. I thought I liked the finale quite a
plus,
bit. I don't know if meta humor, so I thought that was really fun.
My Canadian leads for some time now in this phase. That was the secret plot. Phase 4 is to get the Canadians in the MCU.
Yeah, that's true.
Once we kill your Americans off, we rule.
Love it. Getting ready for Logan.
Yeah. We tricked you.
It's about time.
Notice how we started with Captain America to get rid of yeah, it's Captain Canucks time.
Bringing on Captain Canada now. Oh man. Alright. Yeah, but yeah. Good stuff. We had a lot of cool people, a lot of cool thoughts, a lot of variety.
Yeah, we definitely had a different shade of
been keeping up too much with
this,
the
which
MCU to
is
people
going
that
to a really long episode.
but I like
Hopefully
the
worth
MCU
it to.
yeah.
Yeah, this is the end game of the Marvel.
It is like for us, like end game.
A very Marvel podcast here.
Really
hopefully you guys will enjoy our Phase 4 for the next episodes. I guess. Let's get the end one off.
Next part of the podcast.
Goodbye to the people watching. Hope to see you all for the next one. And hopefully I can reload this thing.
Oh, alright. I guess Victor lost connection. But yeah, thank you all for watching. We hope you've enjoyed this video. It's been a lot of fun. I had a lot of amazing people involved in this episode. So yeah, that's and feel free to check out the links very much. Yeah. Oh, and Victor is back. Yes. All right. Yeah. But I guess that about does it. We had a lot of good stuff going on this episode.
Sorry for
like I said, feel free to check out the links. There's a lot of awesome stuff down there. So yeah. Oh no! It's all right. Until next time. This has been the happy 616th Marvel Family Podcast. Thank you for listening.